Alrighty, so with all that, we should be live now. How's it going, everybody? Hopefully Election Day is treating everyone well, as it, I at least hope it should, considering that it would be voter suppression if you were not being treated well on Election Day. I'm kidding. That's not the actual bar for voter suppression. It's a little harder to clear than that, but hopefully, the one day that I'm actually here somewhat on time is indicative of how important this is. Why is it saying the mic's not working? Mic should definitely be working. It shows it working on my end. It shows everything working on my end. Unless, of course, it shows it working. Yeah, no, it's definitely working. I can hear myself. Hopefully, you guys are okay with me being a little sick today. If you guys were here yesterday during the Resident Evil 2 stream, I was sick then too. Hold on. Doing as best I can. Not feeling great at all. But I went out and voted. So there's that. Oh, you're online for just YouTube and not Twitch? Yeah, no, I can't do YouTube and Twitch at the same time. If you're a Twitch partner, it actually prevents you from being able to do one or the other. So I will likely be taking care of myself by taking a nap before I do my raid and then before I go on Jimmy Snow's channel. So hopefully everything will work out today and I will not be terribly sick. We're going to spend the first bit here, just me and you guys talking, going over how things are right now insofar as the election is concerned. Let's talk a little bit about what everybody's experiences have been so far. So me and Raz, we went to our election polling place, which I'm not going to say what it is because that would dox myself, but it was in a church, which, you know, say what you will about elections being held in churches. I'd rather them not, but what are you going to do? So we go to the church to do our poll, and we're actually only in line for about 30 minutes, but this is because we went as the polls opened. We were there 10 minutes before, or 10 minutes after the polls themselves opened. We woke up 30 minutes before they opened, went, got food, and then ran there. I didn't burn. No, I did not incinerate on the way there. That is a surprising thing, I know. But Sword Dance Gaming says, hour and 20-minute wait to vote. Place was very nice, quiet, very respectful. Yeah, I'm glad that I didn't hear people talking too much in line while waiting to go vote. Because yesterday when we went to Waffle House, because we thought we were... I don't know what was going through my head. My brain was like, we're going to vote today! And it was yesterday. It was a day early. So we went to Waffle House, and it was all fun and games until the old conspiracy theorist conservatives just started flooding into the Waffle House and talking about how mail-in ballots were going to ruin the election, but the mail-ins were happening in Dem states, so I wonder who they'd be voting for. Probably not Trump anywhere near as much as they'd be voting for our sleepy Joey boy. In and out in 5 minutes, surprised. Yeah, that's about how surprised I was in my first sexual experience as well. Justin says, I got a head cold, so I'm drinking Clamato juice. Also, I've got a live polling counter up on my TV. Let's take a look at that, actually. Let's take a look at the live polling counter. And see what that looks like right now. If you can link me to a good one... I'm looking at NBC News' one, and theirs looks... Okay. Is it actually updating? Is it updating on refreshes? Because if not, then that's not the greatest thing in the world. I hope it will. Let's pop it over here. Do. Watch Biden losing the Democrats blame mail-in voting. So there have been a lot of ballots that are not like being counted properly. Apparently, there was like 127 ballots that were like contentious or something. My coworker told me he openly voted for Kanye for the memes. That's stupid. That's stupid. Your coworker's a dick. Don't vote like. If you're gonna vote for something for the memes, do it at like the local level, maybe, but don't do it for the fucking president. Said go to Revival 2020 or Revive Music. Poll results. They have 2 of these running right now. I don't want to listen to their music, no. Where are they showing this from, though? Let me pop over here. Is this just from the graph that I'm looking at right now? Because they look different. Here, let's pop us over here. Right over here. Zakir Naik is a little bitch. Yes, he is, and we'll be going over one of his things today. Kanye is just there to steal votes from the Democrats. That's basically where I feel he is, because, like, let's be honest, most conservatives aren't going to vote for Kanye, but there are going to be some people who are voting for Kanye because they feel like he might represent them better. And as a result, that seems like it'd be more than likely people who would have otherwise voted Democrat, which just stay in line no matter what. Do not let your place in line be taken. Also, if you are going to vote, which if you are watching the stream but you have not gone to go vote, go fucking do that. Please go do that. That's way more important than this stream. Like, you voting is more important than fixing the fucking water damage in my house. So let's see here. So, need 270 electoral votes to win. Currently, Biden is leading 290 to Trump's 163. However, generally speaking, Republicans vote less by mail, except in, like, Utah. They generally vote more in person on the day of. So, don't. If you think that this lead means, oh, God, we're going to win, it's going to be fine, don't do that. Stop it. Get some help. But what if I'm watching the stream while in line? I mean, that's fine. Hold on. I'm going to do a thing so we're not crossing the streams. One sec. There we go. Doors closed. We're not crossing the streams now. All's good. I need to actually put shoes on while streaming, of all things. Because we don't have heat in the house, which is just lovely. Aren't mail-in ballots and absentee ballots counted after the live ballots resulting in blue-red shifts? It depends. So, really, these are going to be counted for the next several days. So, we're going to be periodically looking at this, seeing how this is going. According to this right here, Biden's at 51%. These margins are way too close. Look at these Georgia polls. This is way too close for me. I don't like this. I don't like that. So, we're going to have this running. And that'll be the last of my patat. I'm hoping we flip the Senate blue. That would be kind of neat. That would be good. So, Before we start, I do have a couple things to talk about. Since we have people trickling in. That was a very dry potato. As the first important thing is I had to quit keto. I don't know if I'll be going back to it or not, but right now there's too much shit going on, too much stress. Sticking to the diet is not necessarily the best thing for me right now, given everything going on. Oh, let's see. What else is there to talking about? If you're watching the stream while in line, do that. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Am I able to see concurrent viewers on Streamlabs? Yes, I realized that we have reached an amount on the fundraiser. I was going to get to that as one of the next things. I'm just trying to see if I can... Okay, I can see it. I can see the pop out. I can see how many viewers we have. We had 90 viewers so far. That's good. So... What about driving while watching the stream? I mean, if you're driving, as long as you're listening and not watching, then that's fine. I'm going to advocate for safety above all else. Yeah, don't get complacent. Don't get complacent. But if the Senate does shift, that would be good. That would be good. You can drink coffee on keto. You just can't do cream and sugar, but you can drink coffee on keto. As far as I know, anyway. Yeah, please go vote. But hold on, Christian Jensen. I want to hit on something. Voting does not end this nightmare. Voting is what we call a first step. There's a lot of shit to do after that. And I'm sure there's a few anarchy babies that are going, voting's not going to change anything. Okay, cool, but even if it doesn't hurt you to do so. So, we're going to go with Pascal's wager for a moment here and just do it anyway, okay? Besides, if you want to engage in revolutionary shit, then it's much easier to do that under Biden than it is under an actual fucking fascist. So let's not do that. Let's not do any of that shit. Okay? Vote to hopefully take a step in a better direction. Yes, that's where we are. Vote to push things in a better direction. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I sent you a thing.
Sent me a thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
That is before the shading. That's before the complex colors.
Okay. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Hello.
I wanted to get the green light from you before I started doing anything else.
Yeah.
So, I probably won't do this. I probably won't do the complex shading today.
Okay.
But if you want to put it on stream as fan art.
Mm-hmm. Before you go, I have a thing to show you. I finished the opener thing.
For what?
For streams. So.
Okay.
And then as you get closer to the beginning, that loading bar will actually...
Oh. Neat.
That is just Pika's a good name.
How much is 50 euros, by the way?
It's about $66.
Because I might want one of those.
You might want one of those. I can get in contact with YaraKoro for you.
Just, I don't know what I want yet, so just...
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. What is this over here? I can't see that's a volume menu. That's what that is. Okay. Justin H says, are you worried about how Trump election will affect Canada and other nations? Speaking as a Canadian, I am. Well, yeah. I am. So, the thing is, American politics affects everybody in the world, and the United States dollar is a standard by which the world judges most of its currency. So, just in general, and not even counting the imperialistic nature of the United States, it is worrisome that we might have more years of Trump. That just in general is worrisome. So, said you were enjoying the chill music. I mean, I can put that back up for 5 minutes just as a quick advertisement. So, this guy right here, let's do it low. There we go. This was done by a viewer named YaraKoro. Let's lower that down a bit. There you go. I'll have that there. This was done by a user named YaraKoro. If you look in the description, there's actually an area there where you can commission her, if you would like to commission her for artwork. But they did something ages ago that I really liked, and so I wanted to go ahead and commission them to get this done. Because I've been wanting to do a new stream starting soon thing for a while. So I went ahead and got this commissioned. This piece ended up costing me about 50, I think it was euros. I'm not 100% certain. I think it was euros. Which works out to be about $66 United States, somewhere there. So really not that expensive, or something I plan on using for every stream going forward. It also helps that there have been several times where I've done projects and I've just had the lo-fi chill station on YouTube on forever. So just having this as the opener for the stream is nice and chill. And hopefully everything in this pic is something that people can recognize. Ugh. Said oppressed is a pretty laughable label. Not really. American Patriot, what has Trump done for Black America? Aside from emboldening white supremacists. Like, I'm just seeing Twitter talking points at that point. I don't think anybody's going to tax you over $1,000 for having concealed weaponry. Tam Tam, give me your argument for not voting, or shut the fuck up. Said prison rates are at an all-time low. Like, So wait, are you talking about prison rates as in prison rates right now in 2020? Because are you sure they aren't at an all-time low because people just aren't outside as often? Because COVID? Like, I'm fairly certain that would be a reason. Let's take a look here. Take a quick look here. Prison rates in the U.S. by year. Star Raptor, why do you refuse to vote? What's the argument for not participating in the democratic process? What is the argument for it? It's 2010. I want to see up to 2020 though. I want to see some actual data on this. I'm not doubting. I'm just assuming that if those numbers are true, that they drop down near the end of 2019 and into 2020. That's my guess. Marcos, I don't know when the next League of Legends stream is going to be specifically. Let's see here. Incarceration rate seems to have gone down during the Obama administration, of all things. But I'm not seeing anything on 2020. Do you have a source? Do you have a source for this? Not old enough to do so, Star Raptor? I mean, that explains so much and yet so little. Tam Tam, are you gonna give me my are you gonna give me the argument for not voting? You gonna do it? Is it just shut the fuck up, punk? Is that it? Is that all you've got? Because, like, if so, we'll play that again. Why not? We're still looking for these incarceration things. Why would Trump affect prison rates? Who is president does not directly affect prison rates, but it can, depending on what policy they enact. Yeah, I'm just curious as to what the argument for not voting is. Like, I can see for Star Raptor, the argument is, well, they're not old enough to vote. Okay, cool. That's like I said, that explains so much, not everything. But then I do have the question for Tam Tam. What is the argument that you have for not voting? Specifically, telling other people not to vote. Tam Tam claimed voting doesn't affect anything. Okay, if voting doesn't affect anything, then you're saying that who our elected officials are doesn't affect anything. Not just the president. This is local elections, too, because if you've never voted, you vote for people on the local level as well as your state and senate and, like, you vote for all that. They are selected, not elected. Do you know how the electoral process works? Like, I'm not saying that you have complete control over this. It is a representative democracy, not a direct democracy. But even so, you have a modicum of control over who is in power in the United States. And that control is influenced by your vote. It's only a little bit. It is a tiny bit. But if you've got a little wiggle room, what's the argument for not using it? Do you think that there's a shady, deep state back alley of elites that are just controlling who's going to be elected at all times? Because even if so, they only control who's selected for you to choose from. Not necessarily the people who are actually in there. They're all related. Okay, so is it just incest? Is that what it is? Is that it? Like, again, I'd like an argument. An argument that doesn't sound like it came straight from Alex Jones. Yeah, you can vote on referendum. There were 4 referendums that I was able to vote on here in Georgia. Just, please, give me a source, give me a citation, give me some kind of argument. It's all played down, you know. Okay, do you want to actually give me... Sorry, I probably should have done a headphone warning for that. When I'm responding to somebody in caps, I'm gonna do a headphone warning. Tam Tam, do you... So I have a question. Let's assume you're right. Let's assume you're right, okay? Let's assume you're correct. I'm just gonna assume you're correct. Right? Let's pretend you're right for a second. What is the harm in voting then? Just, please, explain to me. Explain to me, Tam Tam. And if you can't explain to me, then I'm going to assume that you're just a bot, and I ban bots from my chat. So, here, to prove you're not a bot, try typing something without caps. And also, if it is indeed the case that the United States is completely selected in all times, then what is the harm in voting? If voting affects nothing, what's the harm in doing it? What's the use? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck at this point. I'm asking you, what is the harm? You have to explain to me. You can't see good. Well, you can't read either. I don't care. I'm asking you to explain to me if voting cannot cause harm and cannot cause good, in your argument, what is the argument against voting? Okay, Silver the Hedgehog, you can say it's no use, but guess what else is no use? Here, this is no use. I just threw a deodorant stick at the wall for no reason. But you know what? I could. And what did it harm? Not even the wall. It didn't even harm the wall. So what was the argument against me throwing it? It inconveniences me so long as I have to pick it back up off the floor? That's about where we are with voting then. At most, it's a 5 to 10 minute inconvenience, an hour if your polling location is fucked. What is the actual argument for not participating? What did you plan on doing with that time? Masturbating? Taking out the garbage? Doing the dishes? If you are not going to vote, like if you actively choose not to vote, then I will go ahead and say you don't get to complain about who's in power. You don't. If you refuse to vote, then don't complain about who's in power. You had the ability to do something about it. Anything. If you're not planning on inciting a revolution tomorrow, and you're not planning on voting, then you're not planning on doing shit. You're useless. So you choose to block me because you don't have an argument? I mean, okay. If you don't have an argument, and you don't have anything useful to say, and you don't plan on participating in the electoral process, and you don't plan on inciting a revolution to change the broken system we have, then you're useless. You're actually useless. You were more useful when you were a droplet of cum shooting out of your father's dick. Because at that point, you at least gave pleasure to someone. But now you're just screaming incoherently and inconveniencing everyone. This is a failure. Just continue to be a failure. That's where I'm at. I've also lowered my volume a bit so I'm not peaking as much. Don't be like Tam Tam. If you're in the chat, don't be like Tam Tam. We'll play some lo-fi just one more time. It's the same shit, but it's what I have on the thing. Don't be like them. Even if voting does nothing, even if it helps nothing, you lost 5 to 10 minutes of your time, and you are not so important that 5 minutes is not easily something you can get back through other means. Instead, you chose to eat my brush. You see that? Growlithe eating the brush. How are you going to block Saris from his own stream? Very carefully. Very carefully. Opinion on constitutional monarchies? I don't think monarchies are a good thing. I don't. I think that every representative of your government should be elected, not brought in through a monarchy. I don't see an argument for even keeping monarchy outside of aesthetic, and aesthetics is not an argument. If aesthetics was an argument, then I'd have to give fucking ground to tankies. No, that's an Alex Jones style of Republican. But don't worry, you have idiots like that on the left too, who argue that participation in democracy is bad. Don't go vote. Don't do this. don't worry, the revolution is really, really happening tomorrow. I just don't. I just don't get it. Audio blast is too much. Is it really? Lower that down. Are my audio levels okay now? Or are they still, like, just out of control? What are you chewing on? I have no idea what that is. Let's go here. Microphone setup. Microphone. I don't want to set up speech recognition. I want to set up mic volume levels. Open sound settings. Microphone. Manage sound devices. Is this not a thing I can influence at all? Well, I'm sick right now, Cosmic Manta. No, I'm seeing my volume peak over on the recording side. Looking for sound mixer. Open volume mixer. I don't think it's volume mixer I'm looking for. Specifically. Let's lower that down a bit. Voting Work Service is adjusting his audio levels. I mean... Where is... Let's see. I don't think Biden is trying to end same-sex marriage, but she'll drive to concentration camps. Yeah. Wait, Skeptic Mantis channel. Hold on. Democrats cheated Bernie, and now we're supposed to vote for them, or else we're supposedly helping Trump. Well, so here's the deal. And we're gonna say this with the hammer in hand, right? Because we got this back. It's not the same exact model I was using before, but hammer's back, right? So, here's the thing. It's not so much that Democrats cheated Bernie out. That may be the case, but we don't necessarily have proof of that, right? You're a skeptic? Until we have definitive proof that the DNC expressly cheated Bernie out, then I'm going to go ahead and say that most of your voters in places like Twitter were much louder than everyone else. And what we saw was the loudest people saying they were going to vote Bernie, and most of us assumed that proportionally that meant that we would have more Bernie voters. And then we didn't. Now, do I think that Bernie should have been the one that we got? Yes, I would have preferred Bernie over Biden 1,000%, but I don't have any definitive proof that the DNC cheated Bernie. So, at that point, I have to assume that it was down to the votes, because that's the one thing I can verify. Now, was there meddling in Bernie's campaign? Potentially, but again, I don't have proof of that. At the end of it, yeah, Bernie did step down. He stepped down because he wanted to focus on what he was doing to try to get us the stimulus package. Like, he was more focused with helping people and then suspended his campaign. That's not the media fucking him. Yeah, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, correct, but you cannot make a conclusion based off of an absence of evidence. You make a conclusion after there has been evidence. No proof, but I think there was meddling. I think there was meddling too. I do. But I don't have proof, so I can't claim it. Do I believe it? Sure. Easily. I think most establishment Democrats would have rather had Biden than Bernie, because Bernie is more radical compared to them. But do I think that that suddenly means that he was definitely cheated out? No, because I don't have evidence of that. Bernie doesn't have a choice system, wouldn't let him run over. I mean, yeah, Bernie did get screwed. Yes, but again, unless you, if you have a link, if you have a citation that shows me that 100% Bernie did in fact get cheated, that shows exactly implicitly how it happened, and that it was the DNC's fault expressly, then I can accept that. If it just comes down to Biden had more funding for his campaign, that's not necessarily that. But even so, even if we accepted all of that, even if we accepted the DNC screwed Bernie, that doesn't suddenly mean that we don't need to get Trump out of office. You're not necessarily voting Biden because you want Biden. You're voting Biden because you want to get Trump out. I'm fairly certain that Biden's going to be a one-term president. He's not going to be a two-term president. But getting the guy who literally enables white supremacists out is important. And before anybody in the chat decides to give their galaxy brain to, oh my god, he condemned them before. Yeah, he's condemned them and supported them multiple times. What it comes down to is not whether he condemns or supports. What it comes down to is whether his existence in office enables them. And that one is factually true and demonstrable through the fucking stochastic errors that's happened as a result. What you're talking about we call strategic voting. Yes, I'm also a pragmatist, so of course I'm going to think about voting strategically. Based on finding the most simplistic answer, it was probably meddling. I mean, so the most simplistic answer, you're trying to use Occam's razor, but the most simplistic answer is not meddling. The most simplistic answer is that more people voted for Biden. That's the most simplistic answer. That's the Occam's razor approach. The most simplistic answer is not conspiracy. Conspiracy is never the most simplistic answer. So, what I will say is this. Even if the DNC fucked everything over, guess what? You actually can vote for different members of the Democratic Party at the local level. Figure out who fucked Bernie over. Vote them out. Incrementalism doesn't feel productive, but it takes time. If incrementalism wasn't productive, then slavery would not have been abolished. If incrementalism wasn't productive, then women would have never gotten the vote. If incrementalism wasn't productive, then we wouldn't have the 40-hour work week. If incrementalism wasn't productive, going so on and so forth. That does not mean that your only power is voting. You've got other powers. You've got other options. You've got strikes. You've got the ability to fight back through protests. You have the ability to do other things besides voting, and you should do them. They are all demonstrations of your freedom of speech. But that's still incrementalism. Incrementalism ended slavery. Oh, actually, no, we still have slavery. You're right. We have the 13th Amendment. We still have slavery. That was incorrect. We do still have that. But at the end of the day, the point is, let me be more fair. If we didn't have incrementalism, we would still have Jim Crow laws. Slavery moving into Jim Crow, moving into us not having it anymore. There are certain things that you should fight for, and that's when you protest, that's when you strike, that's when you do things to stranglehold the government to work for you. But that doesn't mean you suddenly just don't vote. Biden can say English words properly. What are you talking about? Are you trying to argue that his stutter somehow means that he would not be able to function as a leader? Because if so, that's ableism, and get the fuck out. If that's the only argument that you have, then leave. USA should be broken down into smaller countries. No, honestly, I think that we need to slowly abolish the idea of individual countries at all. Especially with China growing stronger and stronger as a fucking global superpower. So, also, I do want to point out that the way our voting system is set up does need to be changed. Like, the fact that the voting system needs to be changed doesn't mean don't vote, but you do need to change the voting system. Because right now, when I went to vote for the presidential section, I was allowed to vote between 3 presidents, or 3 candidates. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Joe Jorgensen. I wasn't even given Howie Hawkins as an option. Now, I wasn't about to vote Green Party. They're not going to win, and they're not going to get Trump out of office. And because my other option is Biden, a vote for them would, for me, be a vote for Trump. Because, for me, my goal is to get Trump out of office. So a vote that does not work towards that goal is not a useful vote. So, trying to get rid of the current voting system that we have right now is imperative. That's a thing we need to do. We need to go into something like ranked choice or single transferable. We don't need to have this outdated voting system we have right now. However, that is not suddenly an argument that you should not vote. Let's take a look at this guy right here. Where are we at? I'm surprised Texas isn't more red, but we don't have all the numbers in from Georgia or Florida yet. I really am hoping that Georgia will turn blue, but I'm not seeing it. I don't think Georgia's going to turn blue. I'm still going to vote to try to flip it blue. I'm still going to try. I just don't see it happening. That's what I'd like anyway. Personally. Personally. Given that 70% of Americans want Medicare for all. So 70% of Americans want Medicare for all. Is there data that supports that? And if so, does 74% of Americans wanting Medicare for all equate to 70% of Americans wanting Bernie? Because that is not the case. That's like having a presidential candidate who's pro-military and then going 90% of the presidential or 90% of the populace is pro-military. They support the military, so therefore 90% of the people should be voting for the pro-military president. Texas isn't a red state, it's a non-voting state. Yeah, basically. Oh, I see that Yara is in the chat, so we will play this one last time. YaraKoro, who was in the chat as YaraDB, is the one who created this for the stream, which we will drop its volume down significantly lower. All I did was add the animation over here because I requested green screen and then put music to it. But aside from that, this was created by YaraKoro or YaraDB in the chat. If you would like to commission them, then please check the link in the description. There's a link to their Twitter down below. Republicans and Dems don't agree on a national healthcare system? What? No, they don't. Every single person I've talked to who is a Republican wants private healthcare. I've not spoken to any Republicans who want nationalized healthcare. Now, I'm not saying they don't exist. They might very well exist. In fact, actually, I would assume that at least a few of them do. But a lot of them are for privatization of healthcare. How's it going, Alua Wasik? Olivia Wasik. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah, you can vote for third party. You do you. What I said is that my vote would have been a vote for Trump had it not been for third party, because my secondary vote would go to Biden. If you have somebody who is a Trump supporter whose primary or whose secondary vote would be Trump if their primary was, say, Joe Jorgensen, then a vote for them effectively would be helping Biden, because they would have otherwise helped Trump. That's the thing. Whenever you say voting third party is just helping the opposition, that works for both sides unless you know what the secondary vote choice would have been for that person. For me, since the secondary vote choice would have been Biden, not voting would have just helped Trump. Because it's about the perspective of the voter. That's the part that people do not factor in. Biden-Harris is not the lesser evil. There's a fascist, and then there's Biden-Harris. I mean, so it is still technically a lesser evil when you consider the histories of Biden and Kamala Harris, especially insofar as the way that the police operate right now did come because of bills that they wrote. But on the other hand, Biden did say flat out during his last debate with Trump that the 1994 crime bill was a mistake, and things that he's done have been a mistake. So I can sit back and go, yeah, it is technically a vote for the lesser evil, but Biden at least is willing to admit when there's things he's done that are mistakes. No, I don't want Joe Jorgensen at all. I really do not want Joe Jorgensen. I see Joe Jorgensen as a sovereign citizen's idea of the idealistic president, and that, to me, is scary. So no, I do not want JoJo at all. I interviewed 10 random people in Philly, mostly in lower class neighborhoods. Okay. 10 random people, and I don't want to shit on them because I don't know who they are. Said voting isn't important. That doesn't say anything. That just argues that in their perspective voting isn't important. So what? What does that mean? That means nothing. There's nothing we can actually garner from that information, except for the fact that there are 10 people who believe that voting does nothing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Growly. Come on. Well, guess what? I'm not Polish, so as an American citizen, because I'm not Polish, I don't care about the Polish point of view on American politics. Truthfully, I'm going to vote to stop the fascist in chief from being able to be the fascist in chief. Your friend saw the JoJo video and thinks you got the idea. Well, the secretary of the fucking Libertarian Party thinks I got the idea as well, or got the wrong idea as well. So. That's fair. Okay, Growlith. You want out? Come on. I don't know if I agree with your previous statement because I didn't read it, American Patriot. Okay, hop out. Hop out, good girl. Okay. So, let's take a look real quick. Wait, how does the fact that Trump failed to deport more people than Obama factor into anything? Obama's not up for election right now. That doesn't mean anything. What? Okay. I'm loving these non-arguments. I like how Skeptical Mantis is the name of your channel, yet basic logic seems to evade you. Nightshade, what are my thoughts on ACAB? I'm actually perfectly okay with ACAB as an ideological concept, and that's mainly because there's so many protections available for police officers right now, such as them being able to rape people in 36 states and it be legal because it's not legally classified as rape. For them to have intercourse with detainees. I think participating in that system does make you a bit of a bastard. You can't really reform that by participating in it. So yeah, no, I'm actually okay with that position, largely. I think that there needs to be law enforcement reform. Biden is currently in the lead. This video is unavailable. Bullshit. The video is private now? Hold on. This one's not private. Let's take a look at it. Yep. 290 electoral votes so far for Biden, but obviously, as the votes get cast, that will change over time. Why do you keep spelling Obama like a dipshit? Yeah, Obama's campaigning for Biden. Bernie Sanders is also campaigning for Biden. What's the... does this suddenly mean that... You know what? Fine. If people who are campaigning for president, campaigning for the people who are trying to be president, if we're going to use them as a measuring metric, then Biden is perfect and can do no wrong because he's actually going to do all the stuff that Bernie Sanders was going to do. Because Bernie is backing Biden, and Bernie has been campaigning to get Biden elected in this campaign so far. So, fine. I'm going to go ahead and just accept that argument, because that means that Biden is Bernie. There you go. That's fun. Yeah, Obama did a fucking shit ton of drone strikes. He's an idiot, but your logic is idiot. Your logic is stupid. Like, by your logic, then Biden is officially Bernie, because he's being campaigned for by Bernie. I'm saying Obama doesn't factor into the argument here. Or Biden is Cyrus, because Cyrus supports Biden. Sorry, but your logic is idiot. That was a misspeak on my part. I'm literally just using your argument here, though. If you want to retract it and accept the fact that Obama endorsing Biden does not say anything about Biden specifically, then sure. That'll work. Meet Cyrus is Biden confirmed. Okay, Patriot. What was the... Let me see. What was the previous statement? Healthcare should be taxed from things like alcohol, cigarettes, and other things that work to decrease health, and not from my paycheck when I've never used any healthcare system. No, I don't agree with that. I think that healthcare should come out of all taxes. I think that it should come out of sales tax and everything else. Because here's the thing. I don't give a fuck that you haven't used healthcare recently, or that you aren't going to use it. I actually don't care. Because guess what? It's not about... To try to
make today and to an extent the last 4 years a little more bearable.
Thank you very much, S.M. Ballman, for the donation. Looks like 66.69 euros, so about 55? No, that's like 80 US dollars. That's a fuck ton. Thank you for that. That means a lot. But yeah, no, it doesn't matter to me if you never have to use healthcare ever in your life. I think that if you are... It's just like even if you don't use public education ever in your life, your taxes still should be able to go to public education. It's not about your individual use. That's not how taxes work. You exist in a society with other people. The things that society needs, which include healthcare, should come out of taxes. I don't care whether or not you individually are going to use it, have used it, what have you. That doesn't factor in at all. Like, I get taxed more than the average American worker normally because I am a 1099 miscellaneous, not an employee. I am self-employed. And I don't give a shit. My being taxed more, if those taxes went to things like healthcare, regardless of whether or not I used it, I would rather have that happen. But remember, I'm also the person whose Patreon has 20% of it go to other creators. So... whether or not I even use that Patreon donation, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I use it. It doesn't matter if I'm ever going to use it. It doesn't matter to me if at any point the money that I throw out goes to something I will personally consume. I don't care, because that's not why I do it. I throw it out there to support creators who I think deserve it, period. Like, I'm throwing that out there not to virtue signal. I'm throwing that out there to point out that that's the reason my Patreon works the way it does. 20% of what I get goes to other creators. The reason that is the case is so that I am being as consistent as I can with my views. Also, thank you very much, Balmung, for becoming a member of the channel. You are now a Holy Hammerite member of the channel. This means that you can go into the emojis in there, and you can use the channel emojis. So do that. Use some emojis. They are yours for the use now. Why is PayPal asking if I'm a... Yep, Necosiris in use. Also, we have gained $20 so far on the fundraiser, which is good because I would like stuff to not work. Joe Biden, Joe Stalin, coincidence? I think not. Ha. That's funny. Donald Duck. Okay. Things getting out of hand. Not really out of hand. We're going to keep this up and available. We're going to reference this back as we go and see what happens with this. So, let's get into the first thing that we have to go over today. Where is this guy right here? We're going to take, before we get into this, though, if you guys are able to, if you can, there is a link down there to a PayPal pool. We recently found out the extent of the water damage in the house means we're going to be having to gut the entire kitchen, floor, walls, and all, which, from what I understand, is anywhere between a $15,000 and $20,000 job because the countertops have to be replaced too. They also are completely water damaged and destroyed. And it's a gradual thing, so even insurance wouldn't deal with that because gradual damage is covered not at all. Which is great and blows, but, you know. So, what we are going to do is I have a PayPal pool in there. If any of you would like to donate, can donate into that pool, that would be much appreciated. We are currently 5% of the way to the goal there. It's at $1,020, and hopefully, it should get higher, which would mean that I am able to repair that stuff in the house and the house not be condemned, because that would be neat. I really would prefer that not being a thing. So, two bald eagles flew over Biden. That's funny. Today I learned that Trump's oranges isn't spray tan, it's bad makeup. Yep, it's bad foundation. I learned that from Jen Aldrich, actually. He's so rich but can't pay for better makeup. Well, if the thing is, though, is that you get... So it's not bad foundation that the foundation is cheap. It's bad foundation in that the foundation is not applied well. Because when you are getting... when a makeup artist is working on you, you will either get what they think looks best on you or what you think works best on you. And Trump's an egotist, so he's going to go for what he thinks works best on him at the end of the day. Which isn't necessarily what looks best. So, wow, sweet thumbnail. Yeah, the sweet thumbnail is from YaraKoro. Their information is in the description down below if you would like to commission them. And this is the animated version of it that I compiled right before the stream, so that we could actually have a nice new opening for streams going forward. So I am hoping that if this looks neat to some of you guys, that you will potentially go commission YaraKoro. Cirrus is the lo-fi person confirmed. Said, "Oh frick, I know Yara." Yeah, no, several months ago, I noticed that they commented that one of the fan arts that they'd made me finally got featured in a video, and I was like, holy shit, if you're the one that did that, then I want to commission you, because I like that art style, and I had an idea of what I wanted, so this is lo-fi. Yeah, Breb is here. Breb is right here. It's lo-fi. Strider says, what do I think is the best Pokemon game? Personally, I'm an advocate for Crystal above all of them. I think that it had one of the most balanced metas. I think that it had one of the best stories. Insofar, like, as far as Pokemon games that barely have a story, I think it had one of the best ones. I think the best story is still Black and White. But my best all-around Pokemon is still going to be Crystal. So... if the only argument against Democrats in general is that they're hawks, I mean, yeah, they are, and being a fucking foreign policy hawk is stupid. But I'm also concerned about what they enable in the United States specifically. If your only argument is against hawk, then just vote libertarian. They're less hawkish. Gen 2 is my favorite Pokemon gen of all the generations. Okay, let's test real quick. I should be able to do this and this. Both of those should work. So, let's go ahead and take a look at this video from Reformed Wiki. You ready? Wow, she is just not stopping. Growlithe is just going at it constantly. Are we doomed? Before we start, I'm going to go see what's going on with Growly. If she's just going to keep on... well, if Mantis is just going to keep being a chud, then just ignore him. Like, there's nothing more comforting than the void. What? What? No. Okay. Ugh, back. It just... as soon as I sit down... okay. Okay, we're gonna be right back. We're gonna figure out why she's doing this. There we go. Everything should be working now. I had to go ahead and take care of letting Grouth use the bathroom. Okay. Doggo might be trying to protect you from the Trumpos. Fair. Okay, so let's talk about the video that we are going to be taking care of today. Today, we are going to be doing a response to the Reformed Wiki video, or it's a video that's featured on the Reformed Wiki channel, called Is the God of the Bible Immoral? And if so, by what standard? Now, I'm 95% certain this is going to be an appeal to objective morality or something like that. So let's go ahead and see how it ends up stacking up. So let us see here.
A common argument against Christianity and the Bible is that the God of the Bible is immoral. For example, popular atheist Richard Dawkins writes this in The God Delusion. The God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction. Jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, capriciously malevolent bully.
It's not untrue. But okay, let's maybe break this down. So, is the God of the Bible bloodthirsty? Well, how bloodthirsty do you have to be to commit a genocide? Well, he's committed a few of those in the Bible, so he's definitely that. Ethnic cleansing, literally, he argued to destroy the Canaanites and their entire culture, so he's definitely that. Vindictive, depending on your operative definition of vindictive, he definitely fits that. Let's go ahead and do a fun thing here, just to make sure. Vindictive, having or showing a strong, unreasoning desire for revenge. I would say any god that creates hell is looking for vengeance and punitive measures, so yeah, we'll go with that. Misogynistic, the rules of the Bible definitely were very against women, so definitely that. Homophobic, if you accept the worst definitions of Leviticus, then yes, that is true. Racist, I refer back to the ethnic cleansing of the Canaanites. Infanticidal, it literally argues for people to dash the skulls of babies on the ground, and also there were definitely babies when the Great Flood happened. So that is definitely there. Let's see here. Filicidal, again, he's killed infants, so children would happen as well. Pestilential, if you're going to argue that the God of the Bible, the God of the Old Testament specifically, is not pestilential, then I would like to refer to you to the 10 plagues of Egypt. By the way, those are 10 plagues that were caused by his doing and his doing alone, because it even says in the Bible that he hardened the Pharaoh's heart. So we're going to go ahead and go with, yeah, he's definitely that one. Megalomaniacal, anybody that believes themselves to be so self-important that all of this shit is warranted is definitely a megalomaniac. Sadomasochistic, I don't know if I'd call him a masochist. I definitely would call him a sadist, but it's hard for me to argue he's a masochist unless you accept Trinitarianism to be true, in which case God involved himself directly in torture porn. So he could get pegged by a bunch of Romans. I guess then it would follow through, but I don't know if he really enjoyed it. So I don't know if I'd really put that there. And then I guess he's a capricious, malevolent bully. If you agree with everything behind here, then that's just kind of the end result, like the logical end result of what you would get with that. So I'm okay accepting that. But let's see if they have an argument against it. Because I'm fairly certain the argument's going to be, by what standard is he these things?
The purpose of this video isn't to specifically address each of these accusations.
Well, that's good. That would be really awkward if that was what they tried to do.
But rather to talk more generally about standards of morality, since the issue of the Bible's morality is ultimately about worldviews. Of course, there are certainly answers to everything Dawkins mentions.
Wait, if there are answers to everything Dawkins mentions, then why not answer those?
And we'll explore those answers in other videos.
Oh, but those videos aren't produced yet? Okay, that's fine.
When someone says that the God of the Bible is immoral, two fundamental questions that need to be asked are, 1. By what moral standard are you judging the God of the Bible to be immoral? And 2. Is the moral standard you are using a legitimate moral standard by which you can judge the God of the Bible to be immoral?
Yep. Okay, so this is basically going to argue against... this is basically going to try to go that God gets to define morality. He gets to do the ultimate moral standard thing. Therefore, the God of the Bible's morals... You can't judge the God of the Bible by their moral standard. But this is... To accept this argument to be true, we would have to accept that merely by being an authority figure, which God most certainly would be, per the Bible, merely by being an authority figure, or merely by bringing you into existence, we have to accept everything you do as good or moral. Or we have to accept your moral judgments expressly. But by this logic, we'd have to accept the same things for our parents. We'd have to accept the same things for our world leaders. We'd have to accept those things. And we don't have to. And there's a couple reasons why. For one, God is all-knowing, and he's all-powerful. If we accept the triomni God of the Bible to be true, then he is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-good. If he's all-knowing, then he also has infinite creativity. He knows every creative outcome. He knows every creative measure. So he can conceive of a world in which all of the horrible things that he ended up directly causing didn't have to happen. And if you want to argue that God didn't directly cause things because of sin being the functional way that these things happened, then you have to engage in the counter-argument first. And that is that there's this thing called logical consequence. When I've referred to logical consequence on this channel multiple times, I've usually said it's the principle of entailment. But if you look it up, it's logical consequence. Logical consequence argues that if you have knowledge of the end result of an action, then you are responsible for the consequences of those actions, because it is a logical consequence of those actions. If I fire a gun at somebody and the bullet happens to kill them, I'm responsible for the logical consequence of them being killed by the bullet. Well, if God is omniscient, then any bad thing that has ever happened has happened as a logical consequence of the actions that God has taken at some point in time, which means that he is ultimately responsible for every good and every bad thing, because that is how the argument from logical consequence follows. This is not even engaging in the moral argument at all. But if we accept that things like killing people is wrong, and God has engaged in killing people, then by God's own standards, the only way that he could argue that it's okay that he killed people is by special pleading for himself. Which, again, I refer you to the arguments about world leaders and parents. The fact that they brought you into existence, the fact that they are authority figures over you, that doesn't mean anything as far as whether or not we can judge them. And if you're going to tell me that a being who is currently doing something that negatively affects me, that I cannot judge them on any moral standard of mine, that's incorrect. I can and will. I have the capacity to. I have the ability to. Now, as for an argument, they have not presented ultimate authority as an argument in this video yet, but I'm going to go ahead and hit that one real quick. By what standard can we judge God's actions? Well, there's a few standards we can do it by. We can judge God's actions by the sliding scale of intent versus consequences. We can look at that scale and go, okay, well, the intent of this was... the intent of a given action was good, but the consequences were bad, and the consequences were so astronomically bad that they outweigh any good you intended. For instance, if I'm driving down the road to go get groceries, my intent is good, but if I happen to hit somebody with my car on accident on the way there, my consequences were bad. I am judged more on my consequences than my intent. It's not necessarily murder, it's manslaughter, that kind of thing. The same thing has to be applied to God here. And if we're going to accept the idea that we're going to hold God accountable for logical consequences, because he's omniscient, so he has to be, the rule with logical consequences, you have to know that a given action will lead to a given outcome, or at least be reasonably aware. But if he's omniscient, he knows. He doesn't even have to be reasonably aware. He knows, flat out. Growlith, come here. I cannot keep taking you out. I cannot walk you every 30 minutes. I cannot. I really can't. I love you, but I can't do that. And I can't just let her outside because our fence is destroyed because of the weather. So that's fun. So when we're looking at this, if the only standard that a Christian is going to accept is going to be God's standard of morality, not any other standard that man has created, if God does not participate in society, which is where we do our whole moral business, it's where we have our moral discussions, if he does not actually participate in these things at all, then he has no business constructing immorality for us. This would be like saying that a random alien who just so happened to engage in panspermia has the final say in what is or is not moral for humans to engage in. And I don't believe that that's true. I believe that it's functionally is within the society itself. Is that subjective? Yes. Oh, wow, that fell. I'll fix that after this video. But yeah, no, you can judge from a moral system that is a measurement between intent and consequence. So, did God intend to kill billions of people? Well, no. But did he create a world in which billions of people were killed? Yes. And did he know that the world he was creating would lead to that? Yes. So it doesn't matter that he intended to kill them or not. What matters is that he knew they would die as a direct result of his actions. That's what matters. And if somebody wants to argue that I can't say that killing is immoral, then please, up yours. Quite frankly, up yours. Okay, continuing.
Most likely, the moral standard used to argue against the Bible's morality is a secular moral standard. Wikipedia has this list of secular moral frameworks. Consequentialism, which starts with goals and includes probably the most well-known moral framework, utilitarianism. Free thought, which doesn't seem to have any specific examples here.
Are you going to use something besides Wikipedia? Because, like, I would have gone to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. I would not have gone just to fucking Wikipedia. But okay.
Secular humanism, which focuses on the way human beings can lead happy and functional lives, and posits that human beings are capable of being ethical and moral without religion or God. So, in future videos, we'll aim to do two things. First, evaluate the validity of the various non-biblical moral standards that are used to judge the God of the Bible to be immoral.
Okay.
We would argue that all of these non-biblical moral standards fail in some way.
Yes, because there is no more. Okay, so let's unpack that real quick. Even if every moral standard fails in some way, which is true, no moral standard is perfect. There is no moral standard that has not left some stone unturned. This is why we've had arguments about morality for thousands of years, dating back to fucking Aristotle and Plato. We've had arguments about this for as long as we've been able to construct societies and think of laws, right? The fact that a moral standard can fail does not matter because God's moral standard can fail. The only way that it does not have the capacity to fail is that it's written as a presupposition for God's moral standard, God's objective standard, which would be DCT, that it cannot fail. They're not necessarily making the argument for DCT here, but that's kind of the de facto argument that you fall into, right? So, if you're going to argue that all these moral standards fail, therefore God's is correct, well, no. Because I can put any moral standard at the end of that spectrum and say, utilitarianism fails because consequentialism covers a base that utilitarianism fails at. Except that utilitarianism can cover a base that consequentialism fails at. Secular humanism can cover a base that divine command theory fails at, etc. They all have bases where they fail. That is how morality works. This is why we do not have a definitive, final thought process on morality. Now, does this mean that morality is subjective? No, that's not how that works either. It's the people who try to fight objective morality with subjective morality and subjective morality with objective morality are playing this at a white belt level. They are arguing morality from the very first basic ideas of morality that you learn before you ever even crack open a philosophy book, before you ever even study any type of moral structures that have been posited by people before. So don't stick at the base level of the conversation where you go objective versus subjective. That's the basic level. That conversation is incredibly boring. Don't do that. Please elevate the conversation when we're talking about actual moral structures. Please go read the SCP. Please go read even the IEP, the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Please go, crack open some books. Go read... a good one is called The Philosopher's Toolkit that goes over just some basics. Go do some reading and then come back and engage in these conversations because they're fascinating. But if the aim of the video is going to be to say, we're going to talk about in other videos why all this stuff fails, and therefore this morality is good, no, you have to back this one first. This one does not just get to be at the end of the road because you arbitrarily set it there.
And second, answer specific objections against the morality of the God of the Bible.
If you engage in cherry picking, you can answer specific objections to anything theologically. You can do this for literally any theology. You can do this for any character in fiction at all. Let's take Harry Potter's Voldemort. Harry Potter's Voldemort was ultimately a product of a shitty environment. He grew up in an orphanage. He grew up functionally without the ability to empathize with people because he was born of a marriage of lust and using a potion to basically engage in date rape, which is also the same story used for Esmeralda and Wicked. Funnily enough, Wicked Witch of the West, same story with her. But the fact that there is a frame that can explain their actions does not mean they are justified in their actions. So I will look at other videos from Reformed Wiki and go through the arguments that they present in other videos. But the mere fact that you can argue the reasons why somebody engaged in an action, any fictional character at all, including the Christian God, who, if we're accepting the Bible, then we're going to treat them as if they were any other fictional character, not to be insulting, but to judge them against the merits we would any other written character, because at least insofar as the Bible's concerned, they are a written character. If you write a fan fiction about me, the me that exists in that fiction is a character that exists separate from me, the person. So we'll see what they do in later videos, but I do want to go ahead and say that it doesn't matter necessarily that there are justifications they can use, or there are arguments they can use. That doesn't necessarily mean that something is 100% justified, that a being is justified in slaughtering millions, billions even. None of that logically comes from the writing that's in the Bible, aside from God said that everything's good, so therefore it's good. But we'll see. We'll see if there's anything more substantial. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and that is the end of this one.
Bless!
Oh, that is a loud bless. So it's okay if I write fanfic? If you go ahead and write fanfiction, go ahead, do it. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, so that's the end of that one. Let's go ahead and do. Let's be diligent, right? Let's be diligent. 1102 to be videos. Let's throw this in to be videos. There we go. Yay! I've got it in here, so this will become a video later. Oh, that's not supposed to fall there. Hey, look, there's Cynthia. Oh, you guys can't even see it. There it is. Whatever, we'll have that up there. I'll have that up there while we talk. I want to take a minute in between. We're going to look at this real quick. Where are we? Biden's at 290. Trump is at 163 still. Still got a long way to go. That's fine, though. That's fine. Let's take a look at the fundraiser. Where are we at? We are at $1,055. I am going to move it over here so you guys can see. I'm going to hopefully block out any names that come in. Aha! There we go. That blocks out names. Woohoo. So, and then that. Okay, but I don't need that. I just need my pop-out chat. There we are. So we are at 1,055 so far, which is good. That means we are still about at that 5% margin, 5% of the way, being able to repair the house. So hopefully we will be able to get the house repaired. If you guys want to know about the water damage or the extent of it, go onto Twitter. I actually posted a video of me going under the house and looking up at the water damage itself. It's a bit gnarly. The wood's black. It's warped. I'd give you money, but I'm a broke student. Yara, you don't have to give me money for a stream to fix stuff. I give you money for art. Same with Jack and Quill. Jack and Quill has taken over doing all of the patron slides, which will be in videos going forward still, like the other ones. Don't, just like with Jack and Quill, don't pay me. I pay you. You're artist. I need Art Force channel stuff. I pay you for art. You don't have to pay me. Drenadon says that damage was terrifying. Yeah, I know. I didn't know the extent of the damage until I went down there, and that was scary. Tacos here, what did I miss? Well, the first hour or so, we just had kind of political conversation. And then I just spent about 20 minutes going over a Reformed Wiki video about... There was basically a giant nothing burger, right? They argued that God's morality is better than man's, and we're going to make videos going forward about why it is. It feels like Reformed Christian theology and PragerU had a baby, and that's what that channel is. So I'm not 100% certain how I feel about that. God is more because he says so. Yeah, that's what I got from that. Are you voting for Biden? He's going to need all the support and get. I've already voted for Biden. I have already voted for Biden. So this is my shout out at this point in the video. Please, if you have not gone unvoted and you live in America, that's kind of an important distinction. But if you have not gone unvoted and you live in America, please do so. We're going to swap over here. It's going to be here. Please go vote. If you're watching this stream and you haven't done it already, today's your last day. Go figure out where you are supposed to be voting and go fucking do it. Okay? Please go participate in your country's democratic process. It's broken, it needs reforming, it needs fixing, but you know, it still exists. So please go help fix things. Yeah, everybody in the chat, go get your asses out and vote. Go do so. Necosaurus isn't real. Necosaurus is real. Speaking of, Raz is working on versions of Necosaurus for the thumbnail. The thumbnails going forward. That we will hopefully be able to use. They are based heavily. This one is just the standard pose from before. That was not supposed to go over there. That's. I'm dumb. Give it a second. It's not shaded yet, but this is based on Jack the Vulture's Necosaurus. We will be making various versions of this. Raz will be making various versions of this Saurus that is based heavily on Jack the Vulture's Necosaurus, which most of you should be familiar with. Hold on. Let's... Not over here. Let's do that. Yeah, this one. This one right here. So you should be mostly familiar with that. We're going to be manipulating and building on from that one. At least Raz is. So. You know, I really like that art style. So That said, let us get into super chats. Because some of those have come in. And we need to go ahead and get into that real quick. So, we have a super chat from Tina Elkins. It was a $10 super chat. Stuck at work today of all days. Thank you for getting me through. Well, thank you very much for the super chat. Those get me through, especially with Patreon being as dumb as it has been lately. Then we have from Pasty Cake. I'd be convinced if someone told me something unique about him because Yahweh has a lot of negative human traits and actions and history. Gee, I wonder why. Yeah, I have not heard anything unique from Christians in so far for Yahweh, except for like 2 years ago I heard one person bring up the point in Isaiah about how God is also the author of evil. And I'm just like, yeah, you've at least bitten the bullet and accepted that God is not all good. That's a good first start. Now, why would you worship an evil God? Pasty Cake also for the $5. If Trump loses, then the hierarchy goes down with him. We're not voting for Biden because we like him. We're voting for Biden because we need time. Yeah, that's Biden. Biden is effectively a rebound. Let's be fair. Biden is our rebound from the abusive relationship from Trump. Geek Room says, I'm currently in line to vote. Going to take 1 hour and 30 minutes. Ooh. That is unfortunate. But that is at least a thing. At least you are doing it, and I'm happy that you're doing it. I'm assuming this is Frank from the Geek Room, right? Like, of all the people in the Geek Room that it could be, I'm assuming that it would be Frank. Let me... Where's my no bread? Where did my no go? There it is. I have to have this ready and available. This is when... If somebody says something stupid about voting today, this is just going to be my response. We're just going to go to the no bread. Just nah. Somebody's like, don't go vote. And I'm just like, no. Vote. No vote. Vote. Bully President Biden? Yes. Is something hilarious happening in the background? Well, Raz is also streaming over on her Twitch channel. So if you guys actually want to see gaming stream content instead of political content right now, then her channel is where you would go. That is over on Twitch. Same fundraiser shtick, same thing over there. If you can help get our shit out of disrepair, that would be 10 out of 10 would be great. We are at $1,075 now, which means we are still in the 5% range. But that is of the 20,000 it will take to gut the entire fucking kitchen out. But though the donation that came in said I had to do sink repair on all the faucets in my house, so I have at least a little frame of reference for what's going on. I hope this helps. Yeah, though a full frame of reference is on Twitter if you want to be utterly terrified. Biden is conservative, but he wants to look left, so something in between, which is better than Trump all the way. Yeah, functionally, Biden is still conservative. That's the issue with liberalism, is that liberalism is not well, it's not really conservative not completely. Liberalism is still capitalistic, and Biden is still a capitalist. So I would rather have somebody who's more functionally left leaning, but it's not the end of the world. Not yet. Not yet. I am hoping that our Senate flips. I really do. Don't vote. Okay, no. Justin H. No. Vote. You do not vote here. You just want to see the bread. Gainer says just got back from voting. We need something that can help you celebrate voting. What's a thing that can celebrate voting. You know what? You voted, you get Paimon. No, I'm kidding. You don't get Paimon. Don't. Paimon is evil, and I'm still convinced that Paimon is the true villain of that game. There's bread? Why, yes. There's bread. In Germany, we hate the right-wing party, and Trump would be even more right than them. Huh! Is Paimon like Jar Jar? Paimon is very like Jar Jar. Imagine if Jar Jar spoke in the third person. That would be Paimon. Listening to both streams, and you just heard fucking run with an echo. Okay. It is getting warmer in here. I have a space heater on because we don't actually have heat in the house right now. When the power got hit, our furnace blew. So, yeah, no heat for the winter. That's great. But I can deal with no heat. I cannot deal with water damage. So if there's anything left over after the water damage, we will use that to take care of getting a furnace. So, yay. Will I ever do another Among Us stream? Yes. Should be this coming Thursday. Should be this coming Thursday. He says Misa third person would be saying his name instead. Yeah, no. Paimon constantly talks like this, and Paimon is not the most evil in the world, but Paimon is wondering why you think Paimon should be emergency food. Do I like hammers? Let's see. Do I? I'm so glad that I got this back. Growlithe ate the last one. So we just keep on doing that. To be fair, maybe Paimon will have a heel turn where she was supposed to serve the true villain, but she'll turn at the end because she likes us or something. Paimon is the tutorial character from Genshin Impact. Yeah, this hammer is actually very well balanced. Even holding it down here, it doesn't do bad, and it doesn't bend as much as the other one, which leads me to believe that it might be a little more structurally sound. So, it's not bad. It's not bad. Thoughts on hammer-shaped loaves of bread? Let's see here. Hold on. I think we can figure that out. So if we put bread on the hammer like so, is this a hammer-shaped loaf of bread? I think it is, right? It winks at you. I don't know if I can balance this. Oh, it does balance. I guess it is well balanced. Aha! Maybe I should finally play Genshin Impact. It's fun. Like, I wouldn't say just don't play it. I would say don't participate in the gacha system. Like, the gacha system is shit, but, you know, don't do that. What are my thoughts on Buttar versus Pelosi? Both are Democrats, though Buttar is much more to the left. What do you think would be an impact if he defeats Pelosi? I don't know, because I don't know enough about Buttar and Pelosi and how they differ. I cannot give you an honest answer, because that would require me to have a lot of knowledge on both of them, and I just don't. I just don't. Trying to think. We have more videos to come up, but I'm stalling. I'm trying to stall before we get to the other videos. Let's take one more look at our lovely thing here. Looks like everything is still the same right now. Jesus, that chat is moving fast. Holy shit. This chat moves. Oh god, even scrolling doesn't do any good. Look at this shit. Got a lot of questions from my family about alternative parties and how voting for them affects things. So voting for third party is actually a very effective thing to do at your local level. Like, if you find that there's a good candidate at your local level that can help you, then by all means, vote for them. It's just at the presidential level that you have issues. Now, eventually, a third party might have the kind of support they need to function at the presidential level, but we haven't built that kind of base yet. So that's just not a thing we've been able to do so far. Fast chat is best chat. Who do I think will win the election? It's hard to say. I think Biden will win. But I'm not convinced that it's a surefire thing. And I am also fairly convinced that realistically what we're voting for is... Why is that framed the way it is? That's weird. Anyway, it's basically which form of capitalism do you want? Do you want fascist capitalism, oligarchy, or do you want neoliberal capitalism? And that's kind of the real fight we're having there. And in each case, capitalism wins, which blows. But what are we gonna do? The American voting system is broken. Here in Germany, we have 7 different parties. See, I'd like that, but even so, we have 3 major parties in America right now, or 2. We have 2 major parties and then 2 smaller ones. You've got the Democrats, Republicans, the red and blue. Then you got the Green Party, which is closer to what I would prefer, more socialisty, more New Deal type stuff. And then you've got the Libertarians, which are usually more right-leaning type Libertarians in America. But problem is, Jesus, she just keeps on doing the bark thing. Not going to do her any good, though. Problem is that most people don't see either of those 2 parties as legitimate, and your individual vote for either of those parties will not really affect much. Not enough. So... Didn't Pelosi say she'd only serve 1 term as Speaker of the House? I am not certain. Growlith. Growly girl. Stop the borfin. Stop borf. Come here. This will now be a Growlith stream. Come up. Come up, girl. Come up. All the way. All the way. You can do better. Okay. I know what you want. I know what you want. Come on. Come on. Come on. This is what you want. Hello. This is now Growlith stream. She's a good girl. Puppy. This is my pupper. She gets close to the mic to yawn. Oh dear. What are you doing? What's your plan? No. What's your plan, girl? What's your plan? What are you doing? Oh, hopping down? Or are you sitting on my chest? Because right now you're just sitting on my chest. Okay. Okay. That is a big pupper. She is a big pupper. She is big pupper. She's good, though. She is an Australian Shepherd and Border Collie mix. Growlith is going to vote for treats. I think she's barking at squirrels because I took her out an hour ago, I want to say. I mean, you guys might have a better track of that. So I'm fairly certain that she's just barking at squirrels. She has all the energy. Yeah. We didn't get to run her out this morning as much because we had to go vote. So, but it's fine. It's fine. Likely after stream, I will run her out and try to tire her out at least a little bit. He had a Great Dane. We named him Crush. He lived up to his name. Your Democrats would be our progressive party. The Liberal Party is our left wing, but not leftist party. The NDP is more left, but still not leftist. And the Green Party is eco-friendly or eco-friendly, ecosystem friendly. Plus, that you don't serve one-term speaker. Again, I don't know. I don't know a shit ton about Pelosi. This is so like these last 2 years have really been the most involved in politics I've ever been, and I'm looking to get better and learn more. But don't trust her if she's talking to the squirrels, and it looks like she's talking to the squirrels right now. Democrats would be our progressive conservative party. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. I'm going to very briefly take another break. I'm going to go take Growlithe out, see what she is trying to convince me is important, and then we will come back and see where we at. Recommend I read Mitch McConnell. I don't like reading horse shit. But I will be back. Where is it? Where is my... There it is. Woo! So I'm back. I think Growlithe just wanted to play. And unfortunately, while I was playing fetch with her, she just tried to go for the stick a little too early. So got that little lovely number. I see that the fights are continuing still. About whether or not we can push Biden on anything. What makes you think that it's better to push Trump? It would be my question. You know, I'm taking a fruit roll up for that. Yeah, cleaning it is the next thing I gotta do. I just want dopamine now, like really bad. Dopamine sounds good. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna clean it. If we wrap it in a fruit roll up. No. There we go. Okay. That's better. Any chances of Biden changing for the better because of progressive pressure? Yes, actually. His stance on the 1994 crime bill, that has changed from pressure. Like, well, that fell. Growlithe. My fruit roll-up fell on the ground. Would you like it? Growly girl. Come here. I have a fruit roll-up. It fell on the ground. Here you go. Have it. Biden, in his debate with Trump specifically, said that his crime bill was a mistake. Like, you wanted an example, and now you're shifting a goalpost. Like, you wanted an example was given. So, here you go. Crank Puppo battery with sugar. Significant policy change. Well, I don't think you can argue that a stance he had to take in the debate is not a significant change. Like, Let's see here. Oh my God, New York Times, stop it. Continue with Google. I do not agree to updates and offers from the New York Times. Go away. Continue without subscribing. I just want to read the fucking article, New York Times. Oh my god! The New York Times is such a garbage website. I just wanted to read a single fucking article. Fuck. Let's see. Let us do some reading. Let's see here. Oh, well, Biden is endorsing a $15 minimum wage and 4 years of free public college. That's a good thing. Don't pull this Biden has been in power for so long that what has he done? You are literally like firing out a Trump talking point. He has argued that healthcare should be a right for everyone. His advocacy on government action on climate change goes back about 30 years. He supports abortion rights and Roe v. Wade. He's got the 1994 Violent Crime Act, but he has actually argued that he has regretted supporting certain acts, like the Drug Abuse Act, which increase the prison sentences of crack cocaine offenses. And now he is saying on his website, an actual policy reform, an actual policy change. He wants to reform the criminal justice system and wants to eliminate racial disparities at every stage and get rid of sentencing practices that do not fit their crimes. You want him to change on shit, but there's evidence of him doing it, and there's evidence of him actually having good progressive policies. Like, I don't... Sir has just claimed that Biden endorsed 4 years of free college. It's literally a fucking thing that he's arguing for. Like, let's see here. He's endorsed a $15 minimum wage and free 4-year public college, and that was in 2015. I'm not claiming it. It's right fucking here. And he went against Obama on that. Obama only wanted 2. Biden wanted 4. Vice President Joe Biden announced Wednesday he will not run for president at that point. He argued the Democrats should prioritize 12 through pre-K. I believe the playing field that's going to take access to education and opportunity of work. We need to commit to 16. His own fucking quote. We need to commit to 16 years of free public education for all of our children, adding 2 years to the president's previous proposed free community college to all. We know that 12 years of public education isn't enough. As a nation, we have to make the commitment to a college education today that we make to a high school education 100 years ago. And that was against Obama's proposal. It's right fucking here. I don't understand how you can take this weird stance. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Skeptical Mantis, are you a bot? Are you just an anti-Biden bot? Is that just like what you do? And have you considered spelling Obama's name properly? Just... Okay, his proposal didn't become a reality. You asked for a policy change. Like a thing that changes with their policies, things that they would like to see enacted. That's what you asked. You're literally doing nothing but moving the goalpost. I hate to say that you're making Kent Hovind blush, but you kinda are. Jordan Peterson, I think he's kind of a piece of garbage. Do you know that a president cannot just make something happen while they're in office? They don't just go, this is going to happen, and then boom, it happens. You know they have to fight. Like Mitch McConnell had the Senate, and they have to fight Mitch McConnell. They have to fight the Senate and the House to get shit like to happen. You understand that, right? You understand how our branches of government work? You know what? Question. Nathaniel, are you still in the chat? So you get into your time machine and go to the future to see if any of those have actually passed. Does Biden support ending the war in the Middle East? Not that I'm aware of. Like, unfortunately, he's still a hawk in that regard, as far as I know. I just hear Raz going crazy over there. I'm just... Okay. Okay. If that's... It's not that I don't love Raz. It's that for our streams to exist simultaneously, that door needs to be closed. That is Raz playing... I don't know what game she is playing right now. Let me check. She's playing Outlast, and she's being very vocal about it. She's fine. She's just playing a game. Why Biden wants to keep special ops, and he wants change, not hope for Saudi Arabia. Will Joe Biden be better for the Middle East than Donald Trump? What Trump or Biden would mean for the Middle East? Yeah, not yet. I don't like CNN, but we'll take a look. We'll take a look. Oh my god, why? Why do I... No, I don't want your bullshit. Take it away. Take it away. Fucking hell, go away. Nearly calm hangs around the Middle East as the U.S. presidential election draws near. The political fault lines that crisscross the region seem quieter than usual. Political infighting appears to have subsided, but that relative peace reflects little more than the trepidation of regional hands. Okay, let's see. Biden has promised to undo what many consider a staple of Trump's foreign policy, turning a blind eye to autocracy and human rights abuses in favor of crude realpolitik. To many across the Middle East, America under Trump has finally dropped its veneer of support for democracy in a region peppered with the United States-backed strongmen. Nonetheless, the election of the president's approach has been a stark. Authoritarianism has run amok, and the crackdowns on activists have been jarring for even the most cynical observers. In Saudi Arabia, Trump is credited with the elevation of Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the crown prince, and day-to-day ruler of the kingdom. MBS spearheaded a rapid succession of reforms, but stamped out dissent and jailed scores of activists, including some women's rights defenders. Trump has offered only muted criticisms, even after the 2018 murder of the prince's best-known critic and the kingdom's issue. Meanwhile, prominent human rights activists, including Penn winner, have continued to languish Saudi jails. See, I will defend the rights of activists, political dissidents, journalists across the world to speak their minds, Biden said in a statement marking the anniversary of this murder. Jamal's death will not be in vain, and we owe it to his memory to fight for a more just and free world. Biden's promise to end U.S. support of the Saudi-led campaign to crush Iranian-backed rebels in Yemen. The war here has claimed tens of thousands and sparked outbreaks of disease and famine. But the pledge on Yemen's war runs contrary to Biden's history, which of course it would have. The administration of former President Barack Obama, where Biden served as vice president, sold billions of dollars in arms to Saudi Arabia, even as it bombed Yemen. As now, the White House under Obama made no meaningful attempts to temper Saudi Arabia's absolute monarchy, though MBS is widely believed to have cranked up rights abuses in the kingdom. So what I'm saying here is that based on history, like based on his words, he wants to change shit, but based on his history, it's still bad. But at the end of the day, if Biden and Trump will together be just as bad for the Middle East as each other, then we have to measure them on other merits. Yeah, the solution is not suddenly to stop voting. Let's see. Your state didn't get to vote in the primary because Bernie had already dropped out? How did your state not get to vote then? He's just a hard revolutionary? I mean, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Skeptical Mantis, are you a Peter Coffin fan? Just throwing that out there. Are you a Peter Coffin fan? Do I support shaming people who are not voting? Yes, I do. If you choose not to vote, then yeah. I'm not going to shame you for who you vote for. You vote for a third party, go ahead. I don't think it's a useful vote, but do it. I will shame you for not voting, though. Not voting. Not participating. That is a thing I will shame you for. And I'm okay with that. Like, I have no issue with that. I mean, I'll shame somebody for voting Trump, sure. But what I'm saying is, if somebody wants to vote third party, I'm not going to shame them for voting third party. If they try to tell me to vote third party, yeah, I'll shame them at that point because, well, now you're stepping into my realm. Now you're stepping in on me. America labeled bombs blew up school buses. Am I okay with that? No, I'm not okay with that. I haven't argued that I'm okay with that. But if both President Trump and Biden would do the same thing, if both of them are going to be stupid and do shit in the Middle East like that, then I'm going to vote on other things. There are other issues that I'm worried about, like the rise of white supremacy in the United States. That doesn't suddenly make me okay with bombing people. And at no point does it make me okay with bombing people. How is it losing credibility to insult people who won't vote? How does that make you lose credibility? You want to have a say in who is president, who has power. You have the ability to, but instead you're just going to stomp your foot. I don't like the choices. Okay, I don't like him either, but I'm still going to vote for the lesser of two evils. Arguing against voting is childish. Go back to your Alex Jones propaganda. I just view that as childish. And I will shame people who actively don't vote. I have no problem with that. Do you want to be killed with a rifle or a shotgun? Vote is so important. Okay. You know what? You want to act like a child? You get thrown in timeout like a child. Enjoy it. Oh, man, that's awkward. You just try to talk again? So strange. How'd that work out for you? Go fucking vote. Use the time you're in timeout to go fucking vote. Okay? And try to help dig America out of this hellhole. It's not going to take one vote. It's going to take several of them over several decades to incrementally get us to a better state. But go ahead. Go ahead and argue that voting is useless. You wanted to bring up people like Malcolm X? You wanted to bring up people like Martin Luther King? Okay. Let's see here. Martin Luther King on voting wrote a speech called Give Us the Ballot. Give us the ballot and we will no longer have to worry the federal government about our basic rights. Give us the ballot and we will no longer plead to the federal government for a passage of an anti-lynching law. Give us the ballot and we will fill our legislative halls with men of goodwill. Give us the ballot and we will place judges on the benches of the South who try to who will do justly and love mercy. Give us the ballot and we will quietly and non-violently, without rancor or bitterness, implement the Supreme Court's decision of May 17th, 1954. Almost as if he valued voting. You want to use them as an example? Go right the fuck ahead, but be prepared for their words to be used against you. Go ahead. And yeah, if you want to argue that, like, with it, if we have 3 Supreme Court justices die in Biden's presidency, that he would not appoint people better than fucking Amy Coney Barrett, sure. Live in your deluded fantasy. Enjoy your timeout. Like, if you cannot vote, if that is a thing you physically cannot do, I'm not going to go off on you, but if you're going to stamp your feet like a child and say you're not going to, then I will. No. See, my issue is not people who don't vote. My issue is people who won't vote. If you don't because you do not have the ability to, that is one thing. But if you don't vote because you want to heave and haw and slam your fist into the wall, okay. You're just going to be a kid. And they're both not just as horrible on climate change. Oh, wait, is this just a... Daniel Paul, are you just a sock of skeptical mantis? Like, I'm not saying that you are, but I seem to be saying the same fucking thing. I cannot believe there are leftists who believe that they can do better by refusing to vote. Yeah. I just don't. Like, the only thing that you could really hit Biden for right now is his position on fracking. But the thing is that you can regulate fracking, but you actually cannot stop it because there are too many industries that are reliable on it. It's not just the automobile industry. You can't just get everything that you get from fracking fixed by going to solar power and going to electric cars, because you still have plastics that come from that. Plastics that are required for medical research. And you can't just use corn hemp plastics for that, because the body rejects them as organic material. You have to have inorganic plastic, and a lot of that is harvested through fracking. So you need to actually have, mitigations on it. You need to lower the amount so you can try to lower the amount of net carbon. Because the issue is not carbon going in the atmosphere. The issue is net carbon. How much net carbon are you releasing? That is an important distinction there. Irish Swede is actually going to be going into a video about that later, and I will be referencing that one going forward, likely. I already talked with him about this a little earlier yesterday, so I'll be using that video as a reference going forward for that if I need to. Yeah, mitigations are important, regulations are important, banning is impractical. If you think that we should have healthcare, but you also want to hemorrhage the healthcare industry by getting rid of their ability to have plastics, which are needed for several different procedures and syringes and storage of things like blood and plasma, then you can't. You're arguing for an actual fantasy. Regulation can be done. Regulation can be done well. Outright banning causes more harm than good right now. If you're an accelerationist, my question is how many dead bodies need to be piled up to justify your position? How many? And if you can give me a number on that, by all means. Also, we did just get another $20 donation, so we are now at $1,095 towards the fixing of house repairs. So thank you for that. Thank you very much about that. Jay says, I want to talk about the genocide going on in Yemen as a result of the Trump administration supplying weapons to them. That's fair. Biden is more pro-gun than Trump. Well, I'm probably more pro-gun than Biden. Honestly. So, nah. Fracking increased availability of natural gas, which is responsible for 30% of the recent reductions in CO2 emissions. That's such a weird goddamn thing to me. Yeah. I was in the position of slowly eliminating fracking. And then I had that conversation last night with Irish Swede and was like, okay, so it's not elimination we have to go for. It's regulation and net carbon output we have to go for. That's functionally where we can be there. The gun debate is currently postponed. Yeah, actual lefties are generally pro-gun. Most of your anti-gun people tend to be, at least in America, this is just in America, most of your anti-gun people tend to be liberal, not necessarily lefties. Shalasai says, I just got back from voting. Awesome. Good. I'm glad you just got back from voting. Hopefully, that went well. Hopefully. All right. So, who is ready for the next video? The next one that we go into. Give me an H in the chat if you're ready for our next video. Or our next actual, topic. Because we've got... Let's take a look. Oh, this one. This is going to be the tweet. This is going to be what we go for. This will be fun. Okay. Let's... Yep. This is the one. So, now that I have seen plenty of H's in the chat, that means we are getting into the next actual topic, which is going to be Matt Walsh, and how he feels about early voting. So let's get into that. This is not going to be the longest of topics, but there's certainly a conversation to be had here. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So on Twitter, Matt Walsh posted, I love it when I see people having difficulties with early voting. There shouldn't be any such thing as early voting. So the more problems, the better. Election should happen on election day and at no other time. Let's go ahead and get into why this is a logistical nightmare after we finish reading his tweet after this. The whole idea of people voting before the campaigns have even concluded. while the candidates are still making their cases, while debates are still on the schedule, is madness. Completely crazy. No defending it. Okay. So, let's say you're somebody like me, and we have a two-party system, right? And the only reason that I voted the day of is because I don't trust Brian Kemp. I don't trust the person in charge of my state because he has such a long history of fucking over the ballots. So I decided to vote the day of to guarantee that my vote would be calculated, cast, everything. That's why I did what I did. That's why I voted when I did, as I did. But do the votes done before the cases are made count? Yes. Okay, so what's crazy? Matt Walsh's argument seems to be that because debates are still happening, because people are still making their cases, then that means that we should have early voting. Well, there's a time before Election Day and after the final debate. There's a time frame where all the cases have already been made. And people are still campaigning to convince people, but the cases have already been made. Every debate has already been had. Every single thing is something that you could have found on your candidate's platform up until that point. So what's crazy about early voting? Nothing, really. If you're a well-informed voter and you know what your person who you're voting for is going to stand for, then you already knew that before even the first debate. If you are waiting on the debate, which is going to be 60% theater and not just data, and that's what you're using to determine who you're voting for, I'm sorry. If a debate is what changes your mind on something, as opposed to looking into a policy, looking into what a candidate is standing for, looking into the things that they are trying to do, if the debate stage is where you made your decision, why? Why would you make your decision based on that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Again, because the debate is 60% theater. I've made an argument before about the reason why platforming is so important, why you have to be responsible with how you platform people. And it's because so much of convincing someone to something comes down to the theater, comes down to the rhetoric, not necessarily the actual substance of what's being said. As a result, I'm left to ask, why is Matt so upset about early voting? And I can tell you one reason why. People who have all the time in the world to vote are usually people who are very well-to-do. They can take a day off because they have a salaried position. They can take a day off because they've got PTO. They can take a day off to go vote because it's just a thing they can do. Now, you know who doesn't have that same ability? Somebody who's got 3 jobs. Somebody who desperately needs the system to work for them. That person, it's not easy for them to go on voting day. Because even though your job is supposed to let you out and let you go take care of voting on that day, if you work 2 or 3 jobs, because that's what you need to make enough to support your family, and therefore 16, 18 hours of your day are all spoken for on election day when everybody's going to be out, especially if you're working in fast food, that day is already hectic. You might not have the energy to even safely drive to a polling location. You barely have enough energy to safely get home. So why would we want things to be more difficult on this person? Well, given how Matt operates, I would assume that he actually wants it to be harder for working class people to vote. I don't have a way of verifying this 100%, aside from the fact that his Twitter calls him a theocratic fascist, but I think that's mainly a joke. I have no way of verifying that he specifically wants the working class to have a harder time voting. The logical consequence, we talked about that in another video, the logical consequence of only having a single day for voting and everybody having to cram themselves, especially during a pandemic that's evolved into an endemic. It's not even the most healthy thing, but everybody having to cram themselves into one building per location, depending on where your polling location is for your county, for your state. the mere logistics of it means that people will be waiting for a long-ass time. Makes it harder for people to vote. And it specifically makes it harder for working-class people to vote. If Matt Walsh wants working-class people to have a harder time voting, which is really the only people it's going to affect, it makes sense. It makes sense that he writes for the Daily Mail. It makes sense, or the Daily Wire, rather. It makes sense that he argues for conservative positions because those people shouldn't be able to vote anyway because they're at the lower end of the hierarchy, right, Matt? Now, I'm sure if Matt sees this video, he's going to argue that that's not what I meant, that's not what I mean, but that's the logical consequence of what you're doing. So if you know the logical consequence is that it's going to be harder for working class people to vote, then why would you push for something that makes it harder for them to vote in general? But let's see what some of the takes on this are, because it's not just this. Also, opinion on mandatory voting. I think voting should be mandatory. I think participation in the democratic process, if you live in a nation, should be mandatory. Now, I'm wishy-washy on if there should be punitive measures, but I do think that it should be mandatory. I also think whatever day we have for voting should be a holiday. It should be just a thing that you said, you have to go do this thing. I think voting should be as easy as possible. I think that if we can figure out a way to verify IDs, we should make it to where you're able to vote using your ID with a fucking phone. It should be mandatory and easy. There's nothing wrong with it being mandatory if it is easy to vote. But let's see what some of the takes are on this. So, there was this little interaction here. I pointed out that, holy shit, what I knew conservatives were for voter suppression, but holy shit. Because really, like I said earlier, this is voter suppression. This is suppressing the ability for working class people to effectively vote. That's what this does. We get a response from this user here, Tiger Sonic. I agree that voting should be harder because we can't let anybody vote. I agree with this guy. But why? Why would somebody want... I mentioned the hierarchy thing. Why would somebody think there are certain, essentially, undesirables who should not be allowed to vote? And he says, well, because we get people voting for politicians that just tread on people's freedoms, and people vote for politicians that just offer free stuff. So this one sounds like a jab at someone like Bernie Sanders. Though nothing Bernie Sanders has offered is really free. It's stuff that you would get via, your taxes. Said the masses are easily swayed by crooked politicians. This is not untrue. The entire MAGA movement is an example of this. So I ask, how do you litmus test who should be allowed to vote? If you're worried about the masses being swayed, which I would say the counter to that is having a more robust education system, their answer is that nobody should vote. That's interesting, right? That's an interesting perspective. Why would you argue that nobody should be allowed to vote? Right? Why would you argue that? So I think nobody should vote. One user, Airlith Vineyard, responds, so how do we determine who gets into office then? Do we do straws? Do we just lump it into choice centers? If you're not going to be governing for the people and by the people, which is your primary goal in like Western democracy, you shouldn't belong in politics. But let's see what the response is to this. And note, this is a response to Matt Walsh's argument that voting should be harder for people for some fucking reason. It'll be one person in charge, like a king or a queen, and it will be governed for the good of the people. And the elective officials don't work for us. They just want your vote and your money. They don't care about the regular citizens. Well, what would the argument be that a king or a queen would care about the citizens either? I wonder what's happened to most other monarchies in the past. No, this is not a troll. Because if you find this thread on Twitter, I'm not saying go look for it. I'm not saying go bully this person. Please don't do that. That's fucking stupid. Don't do that. Arguments have already happened. There's roughly 10 hours of conversation with this person afterwards where they tried their best to justify their position for monarchy. Why would you want monarchy except to just have somebody whose boots you can lick? Have somebody who aesthetically you can just go, I have my freedoms, but you You look great. Just imagine this is a boot here, and it's not a police officer's boot, so the joke isn't going to work as well, but you're just like, you're sitting there doing that. Without an idea of some sort, how can you ensure people don't vote multiple times? I already mentioned when I said before, I would like voting to happen with an ID. Like, you vote with an ID right now. You take your driver's license and you use it, and then that gets used as your vote. So, yeah, no, it's you can't just go, I want a king or a queen. Okay, well, how are we going to determine who's king or queen? How are we going to determine that? Why would we want it to be difficult for people to vote? I just don't get it. Unless, of course, you think that there should be an established hierarchy and that hierarchy is justified and that it needs to be there for whatever reason. I mean, that's kind of where you get with the king or the queen thing. Though the argument that the king or the queen is not going to just trounce on your liberties is strange to me. I know in that thread later they argue that they're a minarchist, which, cool, then why the fuck do you have the king or the queen anyway? Like, what's the point of that? We'll use a fighting tournament to determine who actually gets to be king or queen. Everybody gets together in a round of Smash Brothers, which, knowing what's happened with the Smash Brothers community, let's not do that. We already have Trump in office. We don't need other alleged predators potentially getting power. So when I see shit like Matt Walsh posting here, I love it when people are having difficulties with early voting. Why? Why do you have such a contempt for a system that tries to allow people to have functionally some say in what goes on in their country, so that you want it to be hard for people? I've seen some takes where people have argued that it shouldn't be easy to participate in democracy. It shouldn't be easy. Why should it be easy? It should be easy so that everybody can do it. You want everybody to be represented, make it to where everybody can be represented. That's how that works. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. That one's just short. That's just a take on random Twitter nonsense. Because, of course, Matt Walsh has Twitter nonsense. We've got other stuff from Matt Walsh that we'll be going over, though. Apparently he thinks that there's no difference between leftism and insanity, which is weird coming from a traditional conservative. But that's not in and of itself an argument. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and we will be continuing on with the stream itself. So let's go over to OBS videos and take this. This is now in the 2B videos section. If you're a citizen and you're over 18, you should be able to vote. End of story. Yep. Like, I understand people not wanting voting to be mandatory because they want it to be that you get to choose to participate. No, if these elected officials are going to represent you, then you should both be educated on how to deal with politics and you should be participating. It affects you, you should participate. It's like going, I don't want to deal with my food, so I'm just not going to participate in this in any way, shape, or form, and then you're confused as to why you're starving. I should probably stretch, right? Oh, boy. Well, we may have shit takes from Matt Walsh, but we do have Band-Aids on our thumbs from Growlith thinking that we are shtick. So at least there's that. I don't know what else you would want in your life besides bandages on your thumb for trying to love your animal. But, hi, Gigi. Let's bring a cute baby over. Hello. Hey, Gigi. Do you want shoulder? I have a digital copy of Persona 5. Should I play that first? Or ignore it and play... Just play Persona 5 Royal. Just play Royal. We have a GG. A wild suit sprite appeared. She is my shoulder kitty. GG, do you want to say hello to the stream? You want to face the stream at all? Or are you just gonna... Okay. I guess we're just here now. Pirates have parrots on their shoulders, so sure, this is a podcast. Where'd my hammer go? There it is. Trying to figure out where my hammer went. Hi, Jeej. I think I had that exact hoodie. I've had this hoodie for a few years. Oh my god. Look at the babby. Look at the babby. Hey. Yee. She is a cute girl. No weightlifting, yeah. We lift Gigi up and down. Is weightlifting. Yeah, she's about 7 years old. Let's, Oh, what? I'm trying to take screenshot of Strem. That'll work. That'll work. Doing this left-handed is not the easiest thing in the world. Must go to Twitter. Advertise stream. Let's go to Twitter. Dude. And I'll just hit Control V. Aha. Must hit come join the stream. Fuckos. Can somebody link me the actual link to the stream just in the chat? Is that a thing somebody can do? I hope so. If not, I'm just gonna... Can I left-handed more of this? Can I left-handed more of this? I can do it. I'm trying to get a link to the stream. I'm gonna do it. Aha. Thank you. Oh god, no. Bad, no! The pop-out chat. It escaped. It's gone. It says, oops, something went wrong. No, something should not be going wrong. Something should be going right. No, we'll have my right arm here. It'll be fine. Let's do this. And I'll just pop out the chat here. It'll be fine. Pop out. There we go. Gigi, are you okay? Are you just comfy? Live chat. There we go. This is also my shout out. If you have not already gotten prepared to go vote, go do that. Fucking vote. Okay. She is a sleepy baby. She is very sleepy babby. This babby. She do heckin' slep. Good shoulder babby. I legally can't vote. Well, if you can't vote, then I'm not going to tell you to participate in voter fraud. I'm just in general not going to do that. Here we go. There we are. Hopefully America's done with conservative bullshit. Yeah. I am sleeping. Do not move or else scratch. Kitty jail. This is kitty jail. Well, since we don't have heat on in the house, she's clinging. Do I think we should revive the tradition of election cake, aka bacon cake on election? Also, should we steal Australia's tradition of democracy sausages, aka hostage hot dogs on election day? Both of those things sound good. Your cat is awesome, but it couldn't vote under the current criteria. Is that why Kira is sleeping next to me on my chair? Yeah, cats like warm and also high places. Ugh. What is... My arm is starting to hurt quite a lot. Serious, my stream is lagging because Elections Day has effect on the interwebs. Oh, well. If the stream is lagging... Okay, can I... Oh, I had to bend it. I had to bend the arm. So hard to bend, but it's okay. Gigi, are you happy? Are you a happy girl? I think she's just gonna be happy. Gigi says deal with it. She's such a good girl. You get a good delt workout? Yeah, I know. My deltoids are going to be so happy after this. They're going to scream in pain. Okay, Gigi, what if I did this? There we go. Gigi is thoroughly unimpressed. Shoulders better. Gigi girl. What you gonna do? Oh, do you see something? Do you see something interesting? How interesting is it? Let's get H's in the chat for Gigi. G's in the chat if you're a monster. And the ambassador with $10. Two crap takes that I've seen is that leftists shouldn't vote because it would make libs complicit, and only the left is pushing people to vote because they are brainwashed. Neither of those positions can function with themselves. Those positions are contradictory. Completely contradictory. Just... no. Ow. That hurt. You want to be sedated. Well, after you vote. Ah! Oh, my arm. That hurt. That hurt. Gigi, are you okay now? Are you happy? She's just over there chilling with Yumi now. Let's tilt that. Ah, nope. Get camera. Please, camera, fix. There we are. Oh, I said I was going to fix this. Let's go ahead and fix this guy real quick. Whee! Ah. Come on. There we go. One down. And there we are. I just got to get that flattened out a bit. Let's do that. There. do this about here. There we go. Back down just a little more. So that we're not trying to defy gravity. There we are. The blanket is now back up in its proper place. We're up to 1,095 on the fundraiser. Yeah. That is good. Thank you all for donating, if you have donated thus far. All right. What's the next shit take? Oh, yeah. You're buying a house? Hey, I bought a house. That's why it's costing so much money to fix it. You bought a hasu. It's also the fact that it's the Democrats looking to expand democracy and are not engaging in voter suppression, which is in direct contrast with what the Republicans are doing. There we go. Thoughts on the United Church of Canada? I actually don't know what the United Church of Canada is. I have no idea. Also, all currency converts on PayPal. Well, I actually have my my set of things that I'm wanting to tackle all lined up here. Because the next thing we're going to be doing is going over a video. It's another one from Reformed Wiki. From Voddie. Okay, so Hasus are very based. Hasus are based and bread-pilled, right? I own a mobile home and it needs so many repairs. Isn't homeownership great? I know, right? It's just super great. Bread-pilled LMAO. Yeah, no. Alright, scratch that. There's actually nothing to eat in my house. I will make something later. I don't know what I'm doing for food. I have not decided what I'm doing for the food yet. Let's see here. Okay. So, we are getting into the next video. I just had to check something real quick. Make sure that everything was going up fine. All your based are belong to us. I would hope so. I want everybody's based. Every single bit of it. Okay. Now we know who Allison is in the chat. Cephalon Wave. Okay. So, the next video we are going to be going over is one of a Voddie Bachman. Now, I don't think I've actually gone over Voddie on my channel before. Oh dear. Oh dear. Hello. I see that I am going to have assistance with this video. Hi, Yumi. You don't... Come here. Come here, girl. Come here. If you want to assist with the video, that's fine. Just come right here. Hello. We had Gigi earlier on stream. Now we have a Yumi. So, the next guy we're going over, like I said, is Voddie. I haven't gone over him on this channel before, but I have... Why is that one strand of hair just desperately trying to get in front of my eyes? But I have... I do have a friend who has gone over him a few times on his channel, and that is Prophet of Zod. So, let's go ahead and take a look at why Voddie chooses to believe the Bible. It's a short video. But let's see what it has to say.
I want to tell you why I choose to believe the Bible. Because I don't believe the Bible because I was raised that way, because I wasn't.
Good, that would have been a really bad reason to believe the Bible if you just believed it because you were raised that way. Though there are people that do believe the Bible only because they were raised that way, but they have a myriad of reasons that they use as excuses, and they try to argue it's not because I was raised that way, it's because of this, that, and the other thing. But this, that, and the other thing are excuses that were fed to them. That's what happened with me. So let's see what he says.
I don't choose to believe the Bible because I tried it and it worked for me. My mother's Buddhism worked for her. That's why she was a Buddhist. I need some.
Are you sure that that's the exact reason she was a Buddhist? Is it not because she sincerely believed in the principles prescribed by her particular brand of Buddhism? Is that not a potential reason, Voddie?
Something more than just because it works.
Me as a pragmatist, I don't know if I agree with that 100%. I'm just kidding. We do want to agree with something because it's true, not necessarily just because it works. But again, I don't believe for a second that the only reason that somebody is a Buddhist is because it works for them. Maybe like one or two people, maybe, but I think most of the time if somebody holds a religious belief, they do it because they sincerely hold it, not just because it works for them. Not everybody's Pascal.
Here's the answer. I'll give it to you and I'll unpack it for you. I choose to believe the Bible because it's a reliable collection of historical documents written down by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. They report to us supernatural events that took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies and claim that their writings are divine rather than human in origin.
Wait, so hold on. Your reason for believing the Bible is because the Bible claims it's divine by the people who wrote the Bible, but that doesn't work. If I write a book about events that happen near me, and I get a group of friends near me or a group of other people to verify the things that I wrote, but I write about supernatural events, I can make up practically anything so long as there's other people willing to back it up, especially if I'm writing in a day and age where things like the internet doesn't exist, or things like, the base ideas of logic that are used for determining things don't necessarily have the same kind of hold that they would now if you're trying to apply things like skepticism. It would be a whole lot easier for me to argue certain claims when it's harder for me to be able to fact-check them. And even in a day and age where people can fact-check claims, we still get people who believe that people were raised from the dead. Like, in the modern era, we still have people who believe that modern supernatural events that have happened. We have people who believe in ghosts. And they have personal experiences that lead them to this. Am I to just accept all of those too, or do I discount those and then accept the Bible specifically? The fact that somebody who is a contemporary at some point, the fact that they argue that something is supernatural in nature, especially when they don't necessarily have the best understanding of the reasons why something operated the way it did, that's not a good reason on its own to believe practically anything anyone says. But let's see if there's anything else that Voddie says here besides contemporaries wrote that things were divine, therefore I believe it. Or is that just it?
Thanks for watching.
That's just it?
And to support this
That was just it.
And claim that their writings are divine rather than human in origin.
Okay, let's maybe have the whole diagram here, and let's. I thought there might be more, so I guess we're just going to have to stick on this. So you choose to believe the Bible because it is a reliable collection of historical documents. Is the Bible a reliable collection of historical documents? Let's go over that one first. So it is reliable in the sense that many of the events that are argued in the Bible happened, but there are some events that biblical narrative hinges on that we've not been able to have. We have no evidence of it happening at all. For instance, the Exodus out of Egypt, that's, from what we can tell, an ahistorical event. We've not been able to find any evidence that that actually happened. What's another one here? The global flood. That is an ahistorical event. We know that a global flood did not happen because we know what the geological strata would look like if a global flood had actually happened. The census that happened during Jesus' lifetime, we don't know 100% if that census happened the way that it did, because people going to their place of birth for a local census doesn't really seem in line, from what I understand, about how censuses functioned back then, even how they function now. So, is it reliable historically? On some things, yes. On other things, no. Things like I just pointed out. It was a collection of historical documents written during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. Well, if I live in a society and I write down a historical account of something, I have written down a historical document during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. So that's a low bar to clear. That's a very low bar to clear. Written down, and they report about specific prophecies of fulfillment. The Bible has several failed prophecies in it. Hello. Let's not go there. Let me go over here. I know. Let's see here. I'm trying to find a list. I know that I actually had I had a list at one point. Let me see here. Why are you making me step on things? Let's see. Okay, so a couple of the prophecies that did not actually follow through in the Bible. I've got a couple of examples up here, real quick. One of them, let's pop over to Facecam for fun. One of them, Nebuchadnezzar was supposed to make a wasteland out of Egypt for 40 years. That was predicted in Ezekiel. That never happened. The world was supposed to end after the fall of Jerusalem in 70 A.D., and Jesus purported that in Matthew, and that didn't happen. So we've had this end-of-the-world apocalyptic goalpost shift that has happened every 5 years now. The end of the world is coming sometime. Yumi, come on. Let's see. The biblical prophets predicted nothing about Christ or the Antichrist in the distant future, but plenty about apocalyptic doom and messianic glory in their near future, which, again, these were not prophecies that were supposed to take place within the next thousands or so years. These were supposed to happen sooner. They were an apocalyptic cult back then. So, no. Biblical prophecy, if you can list a handful of the things in the Bible that are not reliable historical documents, you can list a few things in the Bible that are not reliable for prophecy. And then supernatural events, again, we have things like the 10 plagues, which most certainly didn't happen, because for them to have happened, the Exodus through Egypt would have also had to have happened, and we've not been able to find any evidence of that. So we can't really argue that any of that is true. And if the Bible is to be accepted as a perfect document, like a perfect book or series of books, then it can't get any of those wrong. But the fact that it gets some of them wrong, if it gets some of them wrong, then that already shows that it's not inerrant. And if it's not inerrant, then we can't say that it's divine in origin. If the divine being that you're using, this hair just it keeps falling down. If the divine being that you're using for your comparison here to say that this is divine is a triomni and is a perfect being, then you would expect them to create a perfect document, but we don't have a perfect document. I wish there was more in this video. I wish there was more substance, more something to go over, but apparently not. So, yeah, that's that. Voddie chooses to believe the Bible, which is fine. If you believe the Bible, I have no problem with that. But his reasons for believing the Bible are vapid. Just a little vapid. If you're going to believe the Bible, I have no problem with that alone. Just please have good reasons to do it. These are not good reasons. So that'd be the end of that one. These will all end up being their own standalone videos. We do have a super chat that came in from M the Ambassador. I'm going to clarify some things. The two crap takes that I have seen was not from the same person. I've seen leftists make the complicit lib argument, and then I've seen Trump people say that only Dems are pushing voting. Okay, that's fair. That makes sense. The Hebrews could have made a conga line, and the coast, and the first guy would be in Jerusalem before the last guy left Egypt. Yeah, Yumi, are you okay? Are you just up in arms and everywhere? You having a good time? Come here. Come here. Pop up here. Hop up here, girl. There you go. There you go. There's the good floof. One of my good floofs. I have many good floofs, but this is one of them. Okay, hop down. Hop down, my girl. Well, we have been going on for 3 hours and 15 minutes. So is there anything in specific that you guys would like to talk about while I'm here before I hop out, before I do anything else? Anything that we should go over? Because I'm up for most anything. I say that. Oh, we still got another thing to go over. Still got Zakir.
By the name of...
We still got Zakir and Naik to go over. We got one more thing on the docket before I hop out. So, I'll figure that out. Do I think Mitch will lose his seat today? I don't know. Do I like brunch? I like food. I like food. So, I mean, brunch is good because it contains food. If it contains food, it's good. Have I read any more radical leftists more than Kropotkin? I mean, Kropotkin and Marx would probably be the most radical that I've read, really, though I need to read some conservative stuff too, because I want to be able to attack those arguments better, so I need to read some Edmund Burke going forward. I mean, if there's somebody you want to recommend me to read, I'll gladly read as well. I need to read some Chomsky. I need to get some reading in for Chomsky. I've been slacking on my reading lately, though. That's my bad. I'm sorry. How tall/short am I? I am 5'6", 5'7" on a good day. And yes, the stimming is happening. I've never been tested for any form of autism or ADHD, but I'm 90% certain that I have something. I've had friends of mine who had Asperger's, and saw my mannerisms and were like, "You probably have it too." Though I don't know. I do stim though, so there's that. I need to read all theory. All of them. Max Stimmer. Oh, I thought that was talking about me stimming. Because that's a thing that I have. That's a thing that I do. Max Stimmer would be a good recommendation. He's an anarcho-nihilist and is post-leftist. Okay. I said he's an anarcho-nihilist? Let's see. Where is my Audible? Max Stimmer. Max Sterner. That's what it is. say it's possible without a diagnosis. It isn't Asperger's anymore. It's been reclassified as high-functioning autism, which bothers me. See, I've had people get onto me for calling certain things high-functioning autism. So it's hard for me to really... I don't know. It depends on what I'll have to see. Let's see here. Anarchismus? Anarchismus, is that something that I should be looking for? This one right here. Book that looks like a Marlboro pack. Just got home. Timothy says, just got home from voting. Google Maps decided it needed to walk an extra 3 miles than needed. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, because this one is Eric, Musum, Gustav, Lendiar, and Max Sterner. It's only 56 minutes, though. It's beginning to look a lot like Anarchismus. I don't know what the Natural Law Party is. Well, none of those are available on Audible, and most of my reading is done via that. What do I feel about the renting argument? The renting is better than home ownership because most people could only own a home with a mortgage. So my position on renting and home ownership in general is that housing, like base level housing, like a certain amount of square footage that will let you live comfortably, that should just be a right. Like, you're a citizen, you pay taxes, that goes into housing. That's something that I think should be a baseline for everyone. I think that homelessness should be eliminated, and it can be eliminated. And then after everybody has that baseline, after everybody has base level housing, then I don't have an issue with people engaging in rent, even engaging in landlordship. None of that matters to me because they are making a service and commodifying something that everybody already has access to for free. It's like I don't have an issue with a fast food company making food and selling it, even though I think food should be a human right. Because at that point they are doing a service. They are engaging in a form of labor to make sure that this is provided for. So I don't really have much of an issue with renting in and of itself, so long as we can establish that housing is a human right and get that done first. If we cannot get that done first, then I have issues. There are more empty houses in the U.S. than homeless people. Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's the issue that needs to be solved first. I will stop having issues with landlords and landlordship the minute that everybody has adequate housing. Once that's done, then I'm good. Everybody can breathe. Everybody's happy. But until that time comes, we're not good. Like, until the time comes where everybody has adequate housing, then I'm still going to have issues with fucking landlordships. And I think that might even be a thing that Ocean agrees with. But I'll have to talk with him. My thoughts on Ash Wednesday? I think Ash should just age, honestly. I don't care if it's Wednesday or Thursday that he ages. He should just age up. Pikachu, too. What's the lifespan on that little fucker, anyway? I'm not familiar on how Nordic countries specifically go about human rights. It wouldn't be very profitable to rent if we all got housing down to be very popular. Not necessarily. You see, if you are a landlord and you are trying to sell people on the idea of property, you have to make property that is better or provide something that somebody didn't have originally. So, for instance, let's say I live in Cartersville, Georgia, and I want to move to Ackworth. There's public housing that could be available in Ackworth, and I could apply for that public housing and try to get it. But if there's a waiting list and I'm not able to get in that public housing, but I have the means to, I might be able to pay rent somewhere and use rent as a way to move locations. Because I think that even though housing should be provided, I think people should also have the ability to be mobile, so you should be able to apply for public housing in other areas. Now, location is one thing that renting can give you. You spend money on rent, but you get access to a better location. You can also end up getting access to certain commodities. So, like, you have public housing, so you might not necessarily have, like, a pool, but that complex down there has a pool, so you can do that. You can go rent there, and now you have access to the commodities of the pool or the gym or whatever they happen to have. And as a result, you commodify certain aspects of living without living in a house being the commodity. Right now, living in the house is the thing that's been commodified. And that's a problem. Like, living in a fucking home should not be a commodity. That should be a basic right. That shouldn't be a privilege. It should be a right. But the extra commodities that can come with that can be the thing that a renter sells you on, or that a landlord sells you on. So that's where I sit on that. But again, like, me having no problem with landlords is contingent on landlordship no longer commodifying just basic fucking living. So, what if a landlord has religious preconditions that prevent fair treatment? Then they shouldn't be a landlord. Religious preconditions that prevent fair treatment should automatically be a thing that prevents you from being able to rent out in the first place. Meanwhile, in Singapore, public housing is about 80% of the population, and they're good homes, not crappy ones, and people who live in them aren't stigmatized. Neat. What are my thoughts on the concept of universal credits? It depends on what you mean by universal credits. Yeah, that would be religious discrimination. I think that if a business engages in religious discrimination, then that shouldn't be a business unless it is a religious business specifically. So if you're a business that sells nothing but holy water and sacred candles, then yeah, like, discriminating against a pagan might be okay. You can sell to them, sure, but you're not going to stock merchandise for their religion. You're going to stock merchandise for the religion that you are trying to make commodities for, and vice versa. A polytheist business that is in the business of having stuff for witches and having stuff for pagan ritual and bloat, they are not going to carry things like Bibles, for instance, because it's not who they're trying to cater to. Oh, the idea of a worldwide shared currency. Honestly, I do think we should just have a worldwide shared currency. I don't see an argument against it. I don't see a reason why. Wouldn't that be religious discrimination? What, like discrimination against a landlord? To argue that they can't discriminate? No, not really. Would I consider reading Marxist-Leninist theory? I mean, I'll read ML theory, but... Yeah, no, it's Nightshade, you know what the tolerance paradox is, right? Like, if they are intolerant to certain people because of their religion, it is not suddenly intolerant to not tolerate them. That's not how that's a thing. I'll read it, just don't expect me to like it. Yeah. I think that applies here. Yeah, intolerance to intolerance isn't intolerance. Intolerance to intolerance is tolerance. That's how that works. Because you've taken the two negatives and you've smashed them together and they've had a negative baby. A negative baby is a positive one. Is tsundere over theory? Or is this tsundere over theory? It's not like I like it or anything, Baka. The cake maker suit disagrees with that. A cake maker refused service to a queer couple and was allowed to do so under free speech. So the cake maker suit is a little bit different, though. I believe that the cake maker should have made the fucking cake in the first place. But point is, with the cake maker suit, they were... It wasn't that they weren't selling them a cake specifically. It's that they refused the service of making art. Just like if I were to commission an artist, they can choose to deny me for whatever reason on art, because you don't make somebody do art specifically just because you're paying them. They have to want to. So that suit wouldn't necessarily function when it comes to like landlordship and stuff like that. You don't have that same personal expression argument that happened with the cake maker case. So the cake maker case doesn't necessarily disagree because it is about a specific situation where discrimination was happening not at the point of sale, but at the point of creation of art, which was considered a deeply personal thing. Yeah, commission workers can accept or deny whatever they want. He was functioning as a commission worker. I believe we should have just made the fucking cake, because I think that discriminating against somebody for being gay is wrong. But legally, the defense for something like landlordship wouldn't fall in the same category. At what point do individual liberties match social liberties? You'd have to be more specific. As John Oliver would say, that guy probably comes in the cake. Okay, so we're going to get in the last thing. So the thing we're getting into right now is it's on Twitter, but it is a video. And it is from Dr. Zakir Naik about what happened. There were a couple of people killed in France by very, very violent Muslim extremists. This is not to say that Islam is a violent religion. This is not to say that it's an extremist religion. Violent extremist Christianity exists. Violent extremist paganism exists. Violent extremist Islam exists. You will find violent extremist fundamental versions of any faith of any kind. For the most part, you could probably make an argument against the Jains. But we do have this here in response to that.
From all future hope. And we have the example. The moment the French president said that Islam is in crisis all over the world, a few days later, one of the French aid workers by the name of Sophie Petronin, she was released after being taken hostage. In December 2016, some of the jihadists in Mali, where she was working as an aid worker amongst the orphans to remove malnutrition, where she was working in December 2016, she was taken as hostage by some of the Muslim jihadis. And she was kept as a prisoner for 4 years. And recently, she was the last French hostage all over the world who was released by these Mali jihadists. So when she was released just a couple of weeks back, when she came in the plane, the French president himself went to the airport to receive her. And Sophie Petronin, she was kept as a hostage for 4 years. When she came down from the stairs of the plane, the French president, he greeted her. And when she came down, you could see her wearing the scarf. And she said that I am not Sophie, I am Maryam. Alhamdulillah. She had accepted Islam. Imagine when the people tried to find out that did they ill-treat you, how are they, she had kind words for those people who had taken her hostage.
So wait, hold on. This isn't about what I thought it was about. I thought this was about the murders that happened, but apparently this is about a woman who was taken hostage who converted to the religion of the people who took her hostage. That's a bit yikes. That's a real bit yikes. That sounds like Stockholm Syndrome. Wait.
And she said that what they're doing is for their freedom. And she respected them so much so that she accepted Islam.
So now you're okay with the jihadists because a woman was captured and kept against her will for several years. It was effectively brainwashed into agreeing with your particular brand of religion. And now that she's come back, she was greeted by the French president. You're okay with her getting hurt, taken for years against her will. You're okay with all that because she converted. If you're, as an example, and somebody else is a white supremacist and they capture a random person off the street and keep them for 4 years against their will. From your perspective, is it good that they captured that person as long as they convince them that white supremacy is valid? Does that make that okay? I wouldn't think so. If an atheist friend of mine were to capture a random person and they were Christian and deconvert them over the course of the 4 years that they captured them in their basement and then just let them go, you changed your mind, you can go. That wouldn't suddenly make it better. Oh, now this person agrees with me. Yay! I don't care that they suddenly agree with me. I care that they were fucking captured. That's what matters. That's what matters more. Is Zakir Naik, are you okay with her being You're smiling because the jihadists converted her. That's the thing that's good. Okay. Let's continue.
And it was a shock for the president of France. He goes to receive her and then he finds out that she has accepted Islam. He hurriedly sees to it that, everything is, hushed up. This is...
Yeah, of course he would see to it that everything is hushed up at that point. Because at that point, it's not, the jihadist captured her, and therefore, as a result, she converted to Islam. One, I have no evidence that he tried to keep that hushed up. Two, how is that a good thing? I don't care if you think that converting to Islam is good or bad. How is it good that somebody changed their mind to the mindset of the people who abused them? We have a word for that. It's called Stockholm Syndrome. Or it's not a word, it's a phrase. It's Stockholm Syndrome. That's not a good thing. You don't celebrate somebody falling into Stockholm Syndrome. And that's what this reads as to me. Is that Zakir Naik is acting, LARPing, a very ends justify the means kind of mentality. It's okay that they deprive some 4 years because now they've converted to Islam. This would be bad for a pagan. This would be bad for a Christian. This would be bad for an atheist. This would be bad for anybody of any religious affiliation or non-affiliation. If the reason somebody converted is because you captured them, or they just converted because of exposure to you for 4 years, that doesn't suddenly make it right. I could capture somebody right now, and over the course of 4 years, talk to them about leftist theories, talk about Marx, talk about Kropotkin, talk about the need for my particular preference for government structure, and I will, over time, change this person's mind. They will probably move more left, especially if I'm being nice about it. I may be captured, but this person's so nice. Stockholm Syndrome, doing its thing. It doesn't suddenly make it a good thing, and anybody, any Marxist, any ML, any socialist, anyone who saw what I did there and did not say that is abusive, that is shitty, I would question them. Because you don't get to engage in abuse, and then because the end result is that somebody changed their mind about your opinion, that doesn't suddenly make the abuse okay. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Allah's planning. They plan and plot, Allah too plans. Allah is the best of planners. Allah says in Surah Imran, chapter number 3, verse.
Allah is the best of planners. I'm not even going to listen to the part of the he strikes out of the Quran. Oh, I'll listen to it. Why not?
Number 54. Makru makrallah wallahu khairul makirin. They planned and plotted, Allah too planned. Allah is the best of planners. Here you.
Allah is the best of planners. He had to conceive of a way to get this woman to convert to Islam, and the only way that Allah, in his lack of creativity, could conceive that this woman should have changed her mind about Islam, should have converted to Islam, was by abusing her and capturing her. If your God is so uncreative that this is what they have to do, they have to resort to capture to change somebody's mind, then I'm sorry, but your God, I hate dialing back to this repeatedly, lacks creativity. He truly does. And if you're going to argue that this is a good thing because somebody was captured but they just happened to change their mind about Islam, that doesn't make it okay. That initial action is still not okay. That initial part is still not okay. But it's all part of God's plan, right? That's how this works. It's just part of God's plan. That's bullshit. That is 10 out of 10 bullshit. And if your God has to resort to capturing people and hurting them to change their minds about him, your God doesn't deserve to be deified. He deserves to be spat on. I hold that position for practically any God that claims to be all good and then engages in unmistakable evil. And that's what I see here. And if somebody sees this video in isolation and tries to go, you say that about Islam, but what about the Christian God? I say the same things about the Christian God. I'll say the same things about any God if they engage in stuff like this, or you perceive they engage in stuff like this. So, not a big fan. Not a big fan. I thought this video was about something else, but not very thrilled about what it actually ended up being about. Why is this pro-abuse shit? Why does it happen? Why do people think that abuse is fine? I don't get it. I don't understand. Totally unrelated to the current topic, but it's only day 3 of NNN, and oh, No Nut November, I'm already struggling. I already beat No Nut November by just fucking nutting. There's no reason to engage in No Nut November. Just go rub one out. Or flick your bean. Or whatever you happen to be doing. Just fucking do it. Just got here. What are they talking about? They're talking about No Nut November. Though, I think that is certainly as many of the videos and topics that I want to get to today. So how are you guys doing? I'm going to be ending stream here in about 5-10 minutes, but that still gives me some time to chat with you guys. Did I see that Identity Europa disbanded? Oh, that's good news. No Nut November is for porn addicts. No, it's not. It's a thing that's been posited for everyone. Doing okay. Woke up like 10 minutes ago. That's fair. You have to beat all your records in November. There will certainly be a record for uploads in November because we're going to be uploading VODs. I'm taking the cum pledge right after this stream. Jesus. I'm struggling. My husband's making cocktail recipe. It's the American government that marries people in America. You need to apply for a license. It can be fulfilled by a judge. What even was known in November actually for 4chan challenges? Just 4chan challenges. No November. No Nut November is a extrapolation on the or an expansion of the No Shave November thing. Next days are going to be crazy. Let's see here where is it? Let's see where the election is at right now. So, right now, the election is still sitting about where it was before. Still waiting. Still gotta get numbers in on a few of those states. Oh boy. Numerous Nut November. No, Trump's not winning. He's only got 163 electoral votes right now. Biden's got 290. Do I think Texas and Georgia might go blue? Georgia's got a higher chance of going blue than Texas, but I don't think I don't think either of them are going to go blue. I expect Georgia to be a light shade of pink and Texas to get more red as the day goes on. That's what I expect. No Shave November was originally about prostate cancer. That's fair. Do not trust the polls. Remember 2016 with the Electoral College. Oh, I remember 2016. I don't trust these right now. But I do find it interesting that the polls look the way they do right now. I hope that they continue to look this way for the rest of the fucking day. Don't ever change, polls. Don't ever change. When did red start? So red means Republican in the United States because of what happened with the flip. What happened when the Democratic Party and the Republican Party flipped during the inaction of the Southern Strategy. That all dates back to the Southern Strategy. Anarcho-Bidenism. When? Vosh bad. Vosh bad. I'm just kidding. That would make Vosh sad. Vosh rad. Got your mail-in ballot sent back to you. Yep. Especially here in Georgia. That happens more often than not. Brian Kemp wrote a exact ballot legislation that made it to where if you put anything on a ballot and it was not perfect, a ballot could get rejected. Biden will win the popular vote and the Electoral College will cuck the United States. That wouldn't surprise me. Is there a link to the fundraiser? Yes, if you look in the description, it should be titled like please help me fix my house maybe. That's what it's titled. Please help me fix my house maybe. It's sitting at $1,095, which means we are 5% of the way there to the amount required to gut the kitchen and fix it. It's not a super chat goal because super chats I only see 66% of whatever people super chat. I need it to be in a calculable PayPal pool. It was either PayPal pool or GoFundMe, but I've used PayPal pools before and I've never used a GoFundMe, so I just ended up doing that. Where is... I guess it's just that one there. I thought I had my live stream stuff open, but apparently I don't. Apparently I don't. YouTube Studio. Yeah, I... Wait, no, it was a joke. It was the Vosh bad joke. Streamlab donations would be better than Super Chats, but the Streamlab donation doesn't directly go into the PayPal pool. You need to use the PayPal link to go to the PayPal pool. It's actually wrong. The reason red got associated with Republicans was to do with 2000s Bush versus Gore. Before then, there was no standard color. Some years blue was Republican, some years Dem. Is that true? Hold on. Since the 1984 election, CBS has used blue for Democrats and red for Republicans. ABC used yellow for Republicans and blue for Democrats in 1976. And then red. Okay, so 1984. It's not Bush versus Gore. It would have been before then. Take my pennies and fix your right to housing. Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for the $50 donation. Fix your house, damn it. That's kind of the goal. It's kind of why we're streaming. You'd think Republicans would hate the color red. Damn those red commies. Yeah, you'd think so. All right. So, here's the plan for the rest of the day. Later today, I am going to be Twitch streaming my raid in WoW. After that, I'm going to be on Jimmy Snow's channel, or not his channel specifically. I'm going to be on the line with Jimmy Snow, talking about the election results. So if you guys want to watch me over on Twitch whenever I go over there later today, it's probably going to be around 6/7-ish when I start that, then please go ahead and check that out. And then at 11 p.m. Eastern, I will be over on the line with Jimmy. So if we actually get a socialist running against the Republicans, would that make them have just be different shades of red? No, they're probably going to use green for the socialist. Probably. Yep, Vosh is going to be there too. Vosh is going to be over on Jimmy's channel. I'm going to be over on Jimmy's channel. If all that sounds like something you want to do, then please go check out us on the line later today. But I am going to probably nap so that I have the energy to continue streaming. Thank you all for your donations. Thank you for everything that's been submitted during the show. Thank you for your super chats. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for participating. If you haven't gone and voted yet, go fucking do it. Go fucking vote, okay? If you hadn't, it's time to go. It's time to stop watching the stream. Stream is ending. Go vote, okay? Okay, good. As long as we agree on that. We agree that you're going to go fucking vote. Aight. Thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your days.